President Donald Trump has followed through on his threat to veto the National Defense Authorization Act, which is a massive, I think it's like $750 billion bill that essentially authorizes national defense. There's a couple interesting things in it. Most notably is an amendment that was added in July that curtails the president's power to invoke the Insurrection Act. It would require some kind of certification through Congress, which essentially defeats the purpose of the Insurrection Act, I guess. But Trump vetoed it not because of this. He vetoed it because he said Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act must be repealed. Now, that would be a huge mistake. It would likely result in, you know what? I wonder if they would ban this show. They probably would. We'd probably be banned instantly. You'd see the likes of, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. They'd be gone overnight. Because what Section 30 does is it makes it so that YouTube can't be sued for the things said by me, Ben Shapiro, or Kyle Kalinske, or Steven Crowder, or anything like that, that you'd have to actually sue those individuals for defamation if they defamed you. If you get rid of Section 230, then you would just sue YouTube for YouTube, is the one who published the content. I certainly think Section 230 has its problems. We need reform. I don't think they're going to repeal it. Mitch McConnell is saying he's going to come back in on the 29th and override Trump, which is a good sign that just before one of the most important elections for the Republican Party has more than enough knives to place, figuratively, in Donald Trump's back, which means probably Trump supporters aren't going to support the Republican Party in that capacity, but we'll see. We got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about Nancy Pelosi and this COVID stimulus package and stuff. But we got a cool guest today. You may be familiar with him from his congressional campaign. Former congressional candidate Joey Salads has joined us.
I told you not to reference me like that.
I told you I was going to do it. Introduce yourself.
So yeah, I'm Joey Salads. I do pranks and political stuff. I don't know.
There you go.
I don't feel like I'm worthy to be on this show.
What do you mean?
Oh, you're more than worthy.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You have like millions of subscribers.
I don't know. It's all demonetized. I don't even post pranks anymore. I'm on YouTube, so I don't know.
You get like tons and tons of views.
Dude, your prank stuff was pioneering, man.
It was. I was pioneering that stuff, but
some controversial for sure. But then you ran for office, so now you're officially a former congressional candidate. That's your official honorary title.
Now. It's like, I'm officially a loser.
No.
Congrats.
But we can talk a lot of stuff too. It's interesting. I think you're probably one of the best people to talk to about internet censorship, Section 230. Not only are you like one of the. When did you start on YouTube?
I started on. I've been doing YouTube since it came out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was like as a kid, fourth grade. That was my dream. I want to be a YouTuber. It's what I want to do.
And you did it.
And then I ended up doing it.
There you go.
Got to do it every single day, kids. If you're at home, you want to be a YouTuber, just do it every single day. And eventually, if you make good stuff,
be smart, get better, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this because the NDAA stuff overlaps with censorship and big tech, and will be an interesting conversation. Of course, Ian's chilling.
What up, Holmes? And I've got the super male vitality.
That's Michael's.
Michael, thank you,
Michael
Mr. Malice, Dr. Menace.
He left it here.
It was so good that I put some in my coffee.
Oh.
Does it taste good?
Yeah, I tasted it sweet.
Interesting.
And then I liked it so much.
I don't even know what it is.
You should have some.
No, I'm
Here,
good.
Just in case you change your mind.
All right, I'll take Michael Malice's super male vitality. InfoWars Life, it says on it.
All right.
It's really amazing how supplements are like the go-to thing that people sell. What's up with that?
You can't tell if they work?
I did one. I think I did like 2 or 3 ads for a supplement. It was a collagen supplement.
Yeah, you can. That's good.
But it's because I'm like an old man and I skate.
I've been taking
so it's like a pretty
beetroot.
important.
I've got like an array of like 10 different bottles of fruit extracts and stuff, and one is beetroot extract. It is so good. You will feel so much better after 2 of those. And Tim,
are you pitching a specific?
I will let you
company?
know. I got you a Christmas present.
Is it beetroot extract?
It's beetroot extract.
Awesome.
All right. Lydia's hanging out.
I am here
Just
pushing
mashing
buttons.
all the buttons.
Yeah, that's right.
But let's jump in. Let's just talk. Listen, let me just say something first. We weren't actually going to do a show today. This is interesting.
Yeah.
We were. It's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve, so I'll let you in. Look, if I could work every day through every holiday, I would. The problem is 2 things happen on holidays like Christmas Eve and Christmas. Nobody is working, so very little happens. The politicians are at home. They're not talking about anything, so there's no movement.
but everybody's home.
But nobody's watching this stuff. So like on holidays when people, for political content, I can say at least my views go down because people aren't going to turn on a podcast, listen to politics, and hang out with their family.
What I do is, luckily I have so much evergreen content throughout the years. I just repost Christmas or seasonal related content every single year. So on Christmas, I'll put up for those 3-4 days, I'll just re-upload, hey, this was kind of Christmas related, like a package.
That's a good
exploding.
idea. I should do that. I'll go back from like a year ago to find some news segment I did.
Well,
Put
you
it up.
can't do that.
Flashback.
Donald Trump wins the election, 2016.
You're going to do a
rerun.
flashback video. Yeah, that's a good idea. We're
But
like, you're thinking about it.
We're going to be chilling. We got one story about a giant ball of fire in the sky in China crashed into the earth. I think this definitively proves it once and for all. Aliens.
Yep.
Yes.
So we're good. All right. There we go. We all agree. And we're just gonna hang out. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're chilling. We weren't really gonna do a show, but then Joey's in town.
Yeah, he invited me on
I was
Christmas
like, bro.
Day.
Yeah.
Well, I got the
Come
day
Friday.
wrong.
I'm like,
oh.
that's Christmas, bro.
That was a mistake. I didn't realize what day Christmas was, and I was like, maybe you can come this day. And then I was like, oh wait, just come tomorrow, dude.
Yeah.
So we got Joey here, but let's talk some news, man. And this is big. This is Trump vetoes major defense bill citing Section 230. This is significant because it's the authorization for national defense. It is a massive spending bill. It is a ridiculous spending bill. One of the most famous instances of the NDAA was when Obama signed into law something called the indefinite detention provision, which was included in it, and it allowed the U.S. government basically to like rendition anyone anywhere, like take you and black bag you, like like V for Vendetta, where Creedy puts the bag over your head and then like zips it and they drag you out. That's basically what it authorized. So seeing Trump veto this, I laughed. When I heard Trump was going to do when he tweeted about it, I started laughing. But let's read. TechCrunch reports, following through on his previous threat, President Trump has vetoed the $740 million, million, not billion, National Defense Authorization Act, a major bill that allocates military funds each year. In tweets early this month, Trump said he would sink the NDAA if it wasn't altered to include language terminating Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, an essential and previously obscure internet law that the president has had in his crosshairs for the better part of a year. Quote, your failure to terminate the very dangerous national security risk of Section 230 will make our intelligence virtually impossible to conduct without everyone knowing what we are doing at every step, Trump said in a statement on the veto. It's not clear what the president meant or what he was referring to in criticizing the military funding bill as a gift to China and Russia. I just got to say, I have no idea what he means by that Section 230 thing. And I think Trump fundamentally misunderstands what Section 230 is, probably because his understanding of it is being filtered through, one or two people. So you'll get someone like me being like, yo, we need Section 230 reform. Section 230 is a problem. Someone will hear that and then be like, yeah, Section 230 is a problem. And then Trump will be like, it's a problem? All right, I'll get rid of it. It's like, no. You get rid of it, we're all banned. We don't want to do that. So let's see. They say Trump tweeted about it. The president cited bipartisan calls for a Section 230 repeal in his decision in spite of the NDAA's overwhelming bipartisan support. So basically what's going to happen now is Mitch McConnell says December 29th, he's going to come back in, override Trump's vetoes to make sure every single Trump supporter knows the Republican Party hates you, hates your president. I'm being a little hyperbolic here. But yeah, come on. Mitch McConnell doesn't like Trump. There was a really great comic. I don't know if you guys follow George Alexopoulos, who got his paintings up on the walls. He just put one out where it basically looks like the Lion King, I guess. Trump is hanging from a cliff and like reaching out, and then Mitch McConnell jams his fingers into Trump's hands, and then Trump's like falling to his death. Like the Lion King and Scar.
Oh, I want that one.
Yeah,
we
it's
need that
so good, man. I'd love to get it.
Awesome.
But look, if Section 230 goes, our show's gone. The reason why there's probably bipartisan calls to repeal Section 230 is because the establishment hates us. They hate you. They do. Now I'm not being hyperbolic. They hate you. They hate me. They hate Joey. They hate Ian. They especially hate Lydia. The establishment just really doesn't
I
like
know.
Lydia.
What is it about Lydia?
I don't
They
know.
got a wanted poster.
Because she's
Yeah.
pushing the
That's
buttons,
true,
man.
That's true.
They're like, oh, Lydia.
Architect.
Yeah, so look, the establishment Democrats would love it if the mainstream media were the only game in town. And so you get rid of Section 230, and then overnight, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube are flooded with lawsuits. Many of them probably meritless, and then they're just going to be like, we're done, ban everybody. We don't care. You know what YouTube will do? They would love this. YouTube's been trying to get rid of everybody for a long time. And so they're doing something like, I don't know if you saw this, Joey, with what Pornhub just did recently.
I did see that.
Banned all non-verified content. That's it. If you're not a verified channel, you're gone.
I used to have a whole photo.
Pornhub channel?
Yeah, no, like bookmarked, like my favorite porn.
You're very calm about it.
Just chilling, yeah.
just
10
had to-
years worth of stuff.
I'm with you.
80% of it's gone. I'm
Brutal.
like, this has been my library,
Evergreen
Rude.
content,
Yeah.
the livelihoods for some people. I mean, in all seriousness, a lot of people just lost their jobs when that happened.
I know there's a lot. I know there's like Pornhub like creators like YouTube.
Yeah.
And, like, they'll do like porn vlogs. Am I allowed to say that word?
cool.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't.
Probably
like,
not.
want
We'll
you to
probably
get
demonetized.
flagged.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Merry Christmas,
Vlogs,
everybody.
is that what we call them?
Porn.
But
Porn
yeah, but
vlogs?
like it's like people have their own channels, and they can make money. I guess I don't. My understanding is now they're doing crypto because MasterCard and Visa cut them off. But this is what's coming for everybody. They start with Pornhub. They always do it this way too, because they know regular people won't publicly fight for it. For the most part, like nobody wants to get them on a pedestal and be like, "We must protect our porn."
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, "Nah."
Yeah, they go
Yeah.
after the
Won't
worst
touch
of
it, yeah.
society first.
Yeah.
To
Or
implement
just like
their-
the socially the fringes. And now I'll tell you what comes next. They did this thing we talked about it a little bit last week, where YouTube got rid of verification for tons of channels. You remember that?
Yeah. I remember they stripped. I wonder if I'm still verified.
Well, there was a backlash, and so they said, "Okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that." I was actually one of the approved channels where I got an email saying, "You're all good. We love you. You're verified." But eventually, I think what's going to happen is they're going to start so right now they already said we're going to put ads on content that isn't in the partner program, meaning
Yeah.
you upload videos, you're not the part, like they'll make money off you.
Because YouTube's been, they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Oh yeah,
because
just
of all that.
nonstop.
Yeah.
I think what comes next is they're going to be like, if you're not a verified account in the partner program, we are going to stop promoting you in the algorithm. And they're going to say you'll still be able, or they'll say like, we'll stop recommending you as much. This is because, we're trying to improve quality for all of our creators and make sure they can make money. It'll be great news for all of the bigger creators who will now see bigger viewership and things like that. And then they're going to start getting rid of smaller channels, fringe channels, people with the wrong opinions.
Yeah.
Gone.
And you know what? It's two things. They're doing it, one, for business reasons, and then two, because they have bias. And the business reasons why they're doing it is because the whole Adpocalypse situations, where CNN or the late night show, they can post whatever they want, and they have reserve ads on the back end where they're
What does that mean, reserve ad?
So, first off, I'm assuming they're in the Google Preferred program where they're getting the most exclusive, highest paying ads. And then also on the back end, to fill the extra ad slots, they have direct deals with companies like Coca-Cola to fill that extra space, and they pay a premium. So obviously YouTube and Google, they get a cut of that. So that's one of the reasons why they want to promote, traditional media there, because they have their own set of ads, from direct deals. So business-wise, it makes sense. But that's not what YouTube is, and that content only gets views when they feature it on the homepage.
Right.
Nobody's
and it's when you go to the front page of YouTube, and I'm sure all of you watching have seen this. There's like the COVID news bar, and everything's thumbs down to oblivion. It's like 10, 20% thumbs up. It's all just obliterated because nobody wants to watch that garbage.
Yep.
So YouTube's trying to be Netflix. If we get rid of Section 230, YouTube's going to start square dancing. All the CEOs are going to be laughing. They're going to be like, that's it. All the conservatives, all the moderates, independents, you're gone. MSNBC guys, progressives, all right, we'll give you a pass. But if we keep Section 230, the track we're on right now is still really bad for independent voices, smaller channels, or anybody who's even big and wants to challenge the system. Because you could have 1 million subs, but you give a wrong opinion, you're gone.
Yeah, and it's what these social medias. The thing is, I'm more into the free market. Where at first, when this was an issue like 5 years ago, I was like, they can do what they want. They're a business. They can operate it however they want. But then over time, realizing these social medias have a monopoly on free speech on the internet. Like the World Wide Web, like if you make your own website, you can only generate traffic to your website is if you promote it on Twitter, promote it on YouTube, promote it on Facebook.
Buy ads, buy a billboard, I
Yeah,
guess.
billboard on Sunset
Joey
buy a
Boulevard.
billboard.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
Sunset.
like,
Or a
No.
commercial on the Super Bowl for $1 million.
Yeah, so
Is that how much they cost? They cost
Something
way
like
more
that.
than
$1 million
Way
a
more.
minute or something. Are they more? Probably way more.
Way
than
more
that.
than that.
more than that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's probably like $20
But like you could make a
million.
YouTube video, it's worth 10 times a commercial on the Super Bowl.
I should buy a billboard somewhere.
well, Super Bowl commercials are like notoriously bad for no ROI. Like if you're a new company and you're getting Super Bowl commercials, like your stock tanks because all
Really?
the
Because they know it's a bad investment.
I think it was Pets.com is like one of the most famous stories. I think it's Pet. It was like a pet type of website for adopting animals, and they spent, I think, tens of millions of dollars, and 6 months later, a year later, they're out of business.
Wow.
Because they got no return on that investment.
And like the problem with billboards and commercials is that there's no click through. You can't like see a commercial and click the button to go to the website. Whereas on Twitter, you just click the link.
And you can target exactly who you want to target. Everybody who loves pets and animals, anyone who's Googling how to buy a dog, you can target them.
Google set it up that way too. They set up their algorithms to track what people like so that you could use their service to find people that like what you're looking for.
Yeah, and they're all sharing data. So my girlfriend, for my birthday, she got me an air fryer, and she ordered it on Amazon. And then we're watching TV. We're watching IMBD TV, and we're watching Malcolm in the Middle. And an ad for that exact thing that she bought pops on the TV.
Yeah.
The exact product,
Happens
exact
all the time,
listing.
man. It's creepy.
Yeah.
They know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
Facebook knows when you poop. I'm not kidding. I was reading an article about it. Yeah, because they people don't realize that there's things like your favorite color correlates to other things about you. You know what I mean? So someone could ask you a bunch of questions that you think makes no sense. They'll be like, "What's your favorite color? What's your favorite sport? Where are you from?" And then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Your favorite pasta is linguine with pesto," and you're like, "What? How did you know that?"
They're making like a statistical analysis. People who like this also like that.
Right.
If you like all three of these things, you're definitely liking this fourth.
I'll tell you what, if YouTube does the verification purge, it's going to be really, really good business-wise for channels like this. So right now, I remember when YouTube did that announcement about, what was it called? Like the CP something, the Child Protection Act, CPAA.
Yeah.
And everyone's freaking out. All of the creators that do vlogs were really worried because they were like, if we're deemed a channel for children, we don't get access to targeted ads and our revenue is going to drop by like 80%. And I started laughing. I'm like, wow, this is great. I do politics. There's no way you're going to argue this stuff's for kids. And that means we're going to get all of those targeted ads, and all that ad revenue is going to go more likely to us than them. If YouTube purges, over time from the partner program, a bunch of channels, that means, and they start promoting more verified and confirmed.
The viewers consolidate around the top 1% of the top 1%.
What do they say? It's like 40 million. What is it? How many views per month does YouTube get? 1 billion?
Shit,
Billion views. But if you got 1 billion channels and there's 1 billion views, you get 1 view per channel. So get rid of all but 10 channels, and now everyone's getting.
They're kind of doing it already. They have their select group of favored creators. They're the only ones that have access to the trending tab. They're getting, Google Premium ads. They're on all the VidCon billboards. I think YouTube owns the VidCon event, which is like the creator type of thing.
Trash event, by the way.
That was made by the Vlog Brothers. Didn't they conceptualize?
Yeah, that was the Greens, right?
Yeah, John and
those guys went
Hank
crazy.
and John.
Hank.
Yeah,
Hanky.
those two.
They went kind of crazy. It's
Strange.
really weird how the social media drift created this class of people who were trying to out-left each other. That's so weird. It's like, bro, remember where Jon Stewart used to be? That's where we were all at. But you guys kept trying to one-up each other, I guess, to like prove your value or virtue.
Yeah,
so they went further and further left every single day.
That's how they make themselves feel morally superior. So they're morally superior to you because they support Black Lives Matter. They care about black people. You don't.
Well, but I think like the Vlog Brothers were doing it because it was popular marketing. So, you get social media and all of a sudden the craziest activists are screaming at the top of their lungs. And then you're like, how do I get attention? Wow, everybody's talking about this. I should talk about this too. So it makes sense, man. If you're in the business of attention, where this is what we are, this show, like the goal of this show, not directly, is to keep people watching it as long as possible. The goal of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter is to keep you looking at that screen on their website as long as possible. It's the attention economy. And then as we do, we sell ads. So for us, it makes sense to talk about important political news and, talk about what we believe in and stuff. And naturally, that generates an audience of like-minded people. What they're doing is the inverse. They see a big audience of crazy far leftists, and they think, that's my path to make money. Now, it's funny as the leftists accuse, like, us of doing that. Grifting of, like, they're like, Tim Pool used to be, like, super left, and now he's conservative or whatever. And it's like, well, first of all, like, opinions change. Yeah. Like, earlier this year, I was not I was not 2A, like, hardcore as I am now. Now I'm, like, very much 2A.
It's between you kind of drifting a little bit more right, and then also the spectrum of the left
Shifting
also
like crazy.
shifting.
But I actually moved further left, actually.
Yeah.
So my political compass test, I'm actually further left libertarian. I used to be like pretty liberal. Now it's like down and like more left libertarian. But leftists are not. A lot of conservatives don't get this. The actual economic left, libertarian, they are pro-gun. They're not anti-gun. It's the establishment elites, the authoritarian groups that are pro-gun. Even the authoritarian communist types are pro-gun. How are they gonna have the revolution?
Yeah.
So they're definitely pro-gun. There's a Reddit page for socialist gun rights and stuff like that. So anyway, but what happens is you have people like the Vlog Brothers who are, look, I'll leave them out of this, but I'll wrap them in the bigger picture. Celebrity. What are celebrities for? They're marketing. That's it. They're people. They are marketing. The reason why they put Brad Pitt in the movies because they put Brad Pitt's name on it. You go see the movie. So the same thing with these YouTubers. The goal is they want to generate as much attention as possible. When they see everyone's clamoring about social justice, they're like, ooh, I can do that too. I can do that too. The right has that. There are certainly people who are like, I've decided to support this or that because it's going to make me money. But I think that's a tendency of the left more so. So it's like it's disproportionate. Yeah. You have more leftists or fake leftists who pretend to be left doing that than you have people supporting Trump. The people who support Trump tend to really support the guy.
Yeah, and it's when Trump, supposedly lost the election, I was just getting flooded with people saying, give it up already. Stop crying, you crybaby. Trump lost. Get over it. I'm like, wait, first off, the election's not over. Trump didn't concede. Whatever's happening's happening. But I'm like, they don't understand the difference between having a passion for the country, a passion for actually liking the president. They don't understand the difference between having a passion and then yelling and screaming and crying at the sky. Yeah. When Trump lost election night, we took what's the legal process, let's investigate, let's do this, let's do that. When the Democrats lost in 2016, it was just screaming and yelling at the sky.
They had their celebrity videos where they were like, the electors, you must not vote for Trump, you must be faithless and defy. Right now in Iowa, there's a woman, her name is Rita Hart. She lost by 6 votes. Guess what she's doing? Suing to overturn the results. Yeah. Arguing that they should reinstate 22 mail-in ballots that were disqualified because then she wins. Yeah. And I say, okay, well, you have the legal right to do it by all means. It's funny though.
When these elections are that close, and even Trump, lost by 10,000 votes in some states with 3 million, 4 million in population. 10,000 votes is nothing comparatively to the population.
Well, Trump only won 2016 by like 77,000 votes.
Yeah.
He got a big electoral victory, but there were 3 states where he only got like 0.1%, like really thin margins. But it's funny to see this. The Democrats are like, when we lose, it's okay for us to overturn the results. And I don't see any of these news outlets saying this is shaking confidence in our elections and it's evil and wrong. No, they're in support of it. The person who's filing the suit on her behalf, or like who's working with a lawyer, is one of the lead critics of Trump in his legal effort to overturn the results. So it's like this guy goes on Twitter all day and he's like, Trump is, what he's doing is wrong and he's going to lose. It's ridiculous. How dare he? And then I'm going to file the exact same lawsuit for my person. And don't look over here, everybody.
The left, their ideology is like a sliding scale. There's no consistency. It's like all about what benefits them at that particular moment at that point in time.
Right.
Where one day the left can be on Twitter praising the Constitution because something went their way. And then the next day say, the Constitution was founded by a bunch of racists.
Right.
And now we need to destroy it. So yesterday you just loved the Constitution because it helped you. Now you want to rip it up. Of course.
I was thinking that power, just kind of in general, that power, they say power corrupts people. Yeah. And that this social media view count is like a source of power when you have the ability to go click a button and tell someone something and 1,000 people hear you say it. That people are getting slowly driven insane. And then when they get the likes and they're like, oh, when I did that complaint, it got a bunch more likes from those crazy. Yep. And then they get even crazier. And so you've got people in politics going crazy. We call them the left, or the people in social media, like not Brad Pitt's crazy, but these cult, these YouTubers that end up
the Vlog
going
Brothers
too far.
Go insane.
Yeah.
And it happens on both sides too. I mean, it happened with me at points on Twitter. It's like, okay, let me keep saying this, and it keeps getting more and more likes, or let me make videos on this and just push the edge.
It drove me to insanity in the early days of YouTube. I thought the only reason people liked me was because I was crazy. Like I would smoke weed and talk about the craziest stuff. People were like, this guy's insane. But those videos would get the most views.
Exactly.
And so I kept doing it and tried to out-insane myself, and I was getting depressed, and it drove me insane. I almost killed myself.
That's
really
why I'm so controversial online with my pranks, because the algorithms were rewarding being controversial, being offensive, doing crazy, just crazy and crazy. And you get to that point where you're realizing, oh, wow, I took it kind of far. And then you kind of take that step back.
There's people who don't realize they get caught in the algorithmic loop, and then they start producing more and more and more. Mm-hmm. I think people need to recognize what this is. But I will tell you something: these big tech companies will ban the right, so the wall is set, right? So if you're on the right, and you start seeing, you'll tweet something, you'll get more likes, so you tweet more of it, you go crazy, you get more followers, you get more shares, then Twitter bans you. You went too far, they say. We see you go too far. You should have stopped. It's too bad. You're out. On the left, you can literally call for riots and terrorism and violence, and they won't remove it.
Yeah, listen to this. When I got banned on Twitter, I made another account called Not Joey Salads or whatever, and it was not me. It was somebody else was running it for me. And I did that. I went through 3 different Twitter accounts. So that account in particular got banned because I replied to the LA mayor saying, but sure, just let them burn the city down. Sarcastically, because he was talking about Black Lives Matter or whatnot. Yeah. And I got banned for inciting violence immediately. The very next day was when they were calling for riots. Because RBJ, Ruth Ginsburg, died. Yeah. The very next day was trending, burn it down or whatever.
Of course, man.
And I got banned for being sarcastic.
When I was on the Joe Rogan show with the people from Twitter, we pulled up a tweet that had been up for months that was calling, like, I think the tweet itself was a felony. And I was like, why is that tweet still there? And they're like, I don't know.
Oh, we can't monitor every single tweet that's being
And I was
posted.
like, but you could see that replies to it were banned.
Yeah.
So you had this tweet from an Antifa account calling for overt violence, instructing people to commit violent, felonious acts. And it was fine. Below it, it was like, this tweet has been removed for violation of the policy. This is removed.
Yeah.
And so when they were like, well, people have to report these things for us to notice. And I was like, the replies are banned. Clearly people are reporting this like crazy, and each other.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, all these social medias, if they don't, they're stupid. They definitely have certain key phrase algorithms that determine if you tweet saying, I want you to burn whatever down, whatever. They know in their algorithm. And I know TikTok does this a lot. If they scan the video and they notice something that's questionable, they'll actually put the video on hold, send it to a review to determine, okay, was this a violation? Okay, it wasn't, and then it gets cleared. So YouTube.
But you know what TikTok used to do? They was really clever. If on YouTube somebody is getting cyberbullied, YouTube will ban the bullies. On TikTok, if somebody was getting cyberbullied, they'd ban the victim. Because think about it, it makes a lot of sense. If you don't want bullying on your platform, do you ban the 300 bullies or the one victim? Well, if you want your user numbers to be inflated, you don't want to ban 300 people.
Can't do that.
Ban the victim.
Yeah,
now the bullying is gone. Congratulations. Only beautiful people get to be on our platform.
Yeah, TikTok's done a lot of sketchy stuff when it comes to, favoring beautiful people in the algorithm.
It's China.
It's weird because when I'm on TikTok, I even though it's owned by China or in bed with China, it's still, I think, more free speech than the other platforms.
That's
I think without getting too specific, some of these social networks are fake likes, fake views.
Yeah.
I mean, remember what Facebook was doing with inflating their view counts by like 90%? Remember that?
Yeah. Because
did they get sued? I thought they got sued like a bunch of
the advertisers, I think, got really mad.
What happened?
Yeah, dude. So Facebook you'd play a video, and it would say you had 100,000 views when you actually only had like 10,000.
Now they count it because I don't know if they were actually making it fake, but when you post a video or something on Facebook,
it's like you would scroll past it and it would take it out.
That counts. So your videos will sometimes be like 100,000 reach, 20,000 views. Mm-hmm. So it was on 100,000 people seeing it as they were scrolling.
Like an impression.
But they didn't actually watch it.
But now it only counts if you watch for 3 seconds or more. Then it
Is that like a legal thing? Is there like a law that it has to be 3 seconds?
No, but what was happening was people were selling ads, and Facebook was selling ads. And then Facebook would be like, oh, look, 1 million views. Congratulations. That'll be, X amount of dollars. But then people found out, wait a minute. those views aren't real because they just scrolled past it and didn't actually watch it in any capacity.
Yeah.
So, dude, this was Facebook destroying the news industry. No joke. There are some companies I know that were very prominent mainstream networks that have gone bankrupt or shuttered the divisions that they had set up. There's some companies that would do YouTube videos and they had millions of subscribers combined, maybe like 500,000 here, a million here, maybe 1.2 million. And I had a meeting in San Francisco with some of these companies because I was working for Fusion at the time, and they were telling me how Facebook was the key. Facebook's where it's at. You don't understand. And I said, bro, what do you mean I don't understand? YouTube is where it's at. And they were like, no, man. Like, we put up a video on YouTube, we'll get like 100,000 views. We put it on Facebook, we get like 10 million. And I was like, those aren't real, dude. There's no way. You put up your dumb video and got 10 million views.
The good thing about Facebook is everybody has a profile with hundreds of friends.
Right.
So someone could easily share. YouTube, you got to get the algorithm.
But check it out. I was right. And so what these guys were telling me, I remember I was at a lunch in San Francisco. It was like the three video heads of like 3 different digital production companies that were on social media, with YouTube being their principal place for production. And I was like, YouTube all the way, man. I was like, I can see the community, I can see the interaction, I can see the excitement, I can see the virality. On Facebook, it's just like one day you put up a video and then boop, it's got 10 million views, and I'm like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And they said, you're wrong, bro. The industry is changing. You don't want to be like Blockbuster Video. You want to be like Netflix. And I said, no, it's smoke and mirrors. These guys are out of jobs.
Yeah.
Those divisions all shut down because when they were putting in like they'd have like a budget for like $1 million or whatever for their production for the year, and these are big companies. And then when they said shift the production to favor Facebook, and then Facebook didn't turn anything back for them, didn't give them a return, they just fizzled out, ran out of money. And then their bosses were like, we just lost $1 million, made nothing, get out, you're fired.
Yeah, like the retention time difference between Facebook and YouTube, I can put up a video on Facebook, 30 to 50 second retention time. Same video on YouTube, 6-7 minutes.
Exactly.
That's the difference. And Facebook right now, they're making that algorithm push into the watch tab. They made a whole nother section on Facebook now. I guess they're trying to kind of compete with YouTube, and they're favoring the higher retention content to kind of keep you on the phone.
Yeah.
They want you to turn the phone sideways and watch your piece of content.
With Facebook, you can slide down. You see it, you click it, but then there's this like sliding mentality you're in, so you keep going. Whereas YouTube, you have to click a button to go there. There's nowhere to slide to unless you want to read the comments.
Yeah. And you're invested. You're actively engaging and clicking on a piece of content
drug,
you want to watch.
It's like the worst drug of our time.
Yeah.
So you're off Twitter now.
Off Twitter.
And how's that been?
Oh my gosh, my mental health is so much better. Twitter is. Once you get off Twitter, you realize that's not reality. That's not the world. It's been harder to keep up on politics and what's going on. Like I used to know everything at all the times. Now, I know nothing about what happened today. Absolutely nothing.
Trump did a backflip.
I wouldn't
just trust me. I'm a guy. I got a podcast. Trump did a backflip.
I believe you.
Superhero landing. Jumped out the back. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Twitter is a disaster. It's an addiction. And they know that the likes and shares and retweets, those numbers, are what drive people to keep doing it. It's making the country go insane. They know it. They don't care.
And they're trying to
because they make money off of it.
They're trying to keep you going back, too. So a lot of social media, have a theory that if you're not, going on the platform, they'll kind of send a little engagement your way to keep you opening the app up again, keep you engaged and looking.
Right.
Because, you have the notifications on. Like, oh, I got a new follower. You click on it, now you're
exactly.
Back on
I think in the beginning of YouTube, I don't know how it was for you guys, but for me it was I wanted to make videos and tell my friends about this book I read. And MySpace wasn't fast enough, so I would make it. It wasn't about how many people saw it. It was, did Eric see it?
YouTube had friends.
I wanted to share it with my friends. And then people could make video responses. And you had these little communities of people. And now that it's like, I don't know if they really want to just get people off the platform, these non-verified people, because they're taking up too much bandwidth and they're too much of a liability. Especially if 230 goes down, then they're really alive.
Yeah, exactly.
And they become more like a TV station like Netflix. Where but we need these some website where a bunch of any kid can start making YouTube videos and talk to another guy that's making videos. Not doesn't have to be YouTube videos. I've just got that phrase stuck in my head from 2006.
YouTube employees have told me, and this is years ago, they want to be Netflix. So in the early days of YouTube,
look at the market cap of Netflix.
Right, exactly.
$200 billion.
So YouTube's tried doing originals.
Disney's trying to be Netflix. They're doing a good job.
It's got to be a headache to deal with all the errant people that are saying like burn it, like they say crazy stuff, then you're not responsible. But if you don't do anything and it's illegal, then you become responsible.
No.
Well, if someone puts illegal content on YouTube, it's YouTube's job to take it down, or aren't they responsible for hosting illegal content?
Section 230 protects them.
Even if it's illegal?
They're not liable for content posted by individuals. So they will ban everybody if 230 gets repealed. It'll be the end of the internet as we know it, man.
What if the plan is to repeal it and replace it immediately with something else?
That will never happen.
You don't think so?
The Democrats right now are probably sitting in a room with the Democrat and Republican establishment are sitting in a room together, and because this is a family-friendly show, I will say they're sitting in a circle, all patting each other on the back, going like, yes, this is great. You know, we're having a good time. They're all shaking hands.
Having fun together.
A circle of jerks high-fiving each other.
What a bunch of jerks.
And when right now they're probably going, oh, no, Trump. Oh, geez, you want us to repeal Section 230? Oh, man, I guess we have to.
Well, listen to this. What if that is actually a good thing?
What repealing Section 230?
What if because they mass ban people like me, you, and the little guy, then now it forces us to go to an alternative platform?
Or to start our own platform?
No,
YouTube is the platform, the place to be if you want to make long-form video content, and that's the only place you can go to get views. But now what happens if the you of the YouTube gets completely taken out? Now, I guess I'll try Rumble or
Netflix exists, but Netflix doesn't allow anyone to post. They approve. Yeah. So what would end up happening is
Roku, the OTTs.
They just allow anything, right?
They allow people. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So here's my bet. You know what? I'm not gonna. I've had people telling me I'm wrong several times. They super chat and they're like, "You're wrong, Tim. 230's got to go. You don't get it." I'm like, "All right, dude. I know exactly what's gonna happen if 230 goes. I am gonna make 10 times as much money. It's gonna be great for me, and it's gonna be bad for humanity and liberty and freedom." But if people want it, if Trump's saying it and Trump supporters are for it, well, okay, I guess I'll just sit back and take the extra money because let me just say what's going to happen. I'm not going to be banned if 230 goes. I'm going to be one of their preferred verified accounts or whatever. They like the milquetoast, harmless Tim Pool or whatever. He's just edgy enough, but not edgy enough to get smears and cause any trouble because I'm not too far enough in either direction. So it works for them that people watch these shows and that they're controversial a little bit. And they actually monetized our Alex Jones episode. So they're like, this is okay. We're okay with this. So if you get rid of Section 230, YouTube's going to go, we got it, baby. We finally got what we needed. The excuse to ban all these people without causing controversy. And we can blame Trump for it. It's great. So who are we keeping? We're going to pick 500 channels to keep. YouTube is now officially Netflix. This is fantastic. Our bandwidth costs are going to drop, but our audience stays the same. If you get rid of Section 230 and YouTube bans all of the non-preferred accounts, they probably make me sign a contract or something about liability and whatever. Then what you're left with is YouTube still gets the billion views or whatever per month, whatever the number is, probably more than that, probably 100 billion or something. They keep that. It'll go down a little bit because some channels and some creators will be gone and they'll go to other platforms. But people will still go to YouTube out of habit. And now there's only a small handful of channels to recommend. So guess what? The existing channels are going to go through the roof.
But what platform? Because that platform could get taken down too. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying Rumble right now. Like, go to Rumble, go to Rumble. Okay, just like any of these other platforms, I'm just going to start counting the days until NBC, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times publish a story about, the neo-Nazi website Rumble and all this other garbage.
Get thrown in that
And then
box.
what happens is all they need is an excuse, is one article that says it. And then you'll get Google going like, we will no longer, serve the DNS or whatever.
What is that?
Google
Anti-defamation. They go hard
ADL.
on people for that stuff.
Yeah. Google seized the DNS. I think it was the Daily Stormer. Like literally just seized their domain, so you couldn't go to it. It was crazy. Like that's authoritarian beyond recognition.
But I'm just obviously spitballing here. I could be completely wrong. But let's just say you have 1 billion watch minutes going to YouTube every day to watch independent creators. And that's what you want to watch. As we were saying before, whenever CNN's recommended, just spammed with dislikes. I'm sure their retention time's dirt low as well. But obviously they want to work to kind of replace cable and TV. That's why they have YouTube TV. They tried YouTube Premium, and they tried original shows. All those original shows have been a major flop, even the influencer ones.
No,
which ones did?
Cobra Kai.
Well,
that was awesome.
It did good because it was on Netflix.
Well, no, it did really well on YouTube.
That was
then
the
they
only one.
Then they sold it to Netflix.
Yeah, that was the only one that people watched. I don't know what the numbers were on that, if it's even comparable to how much it got on Netflix. I never watched
Probably
it on
not.
YouTube. I watched it on Netflix, and it was great.
YouTube works on meritocracy. Yeah. So it's a combination of algorithmic promotion for videos that do well and the hands-off approach from YouTube. When YouTube tried to do originals, it mostly did not work. A lot of the shows were just trash. Yeah. So what they do is what works for them, let people make content, and then when they identify content that's doing well and is brand safe and advertiser friendly, they promote it in the algorithm. But I'll tell you this. How many, let me ask you, what do you think the average amount of recommended views to like subscriber views? You know what I mean? Like the amount, I'll just say it because it's probably hard to make an analogy or question out of it. The amount of people who watch this content who aren't subscribed.
I'm not subscribed to you. I watch you every day.
Right.
I have 10 accounts. That's why I don't know what account I'm on. I just
subscribe with all of them.
Yeah.
No, maybe not. Because you don't want to inflate the subscriber count. Because then if the view to subscribers is the ratio,
then they punish you for it.
Yeah.
But so here's what happens. It's like, depending on the video, it could be between 60 and 70% not subscribed. That means YouTube's recommending the video. So you go to youtube.com and then my video appears and you click it and you watch it and YouTube keeps serving it to people because subscriber counts really don't matter anymore. Yeah. I mean, we do this show. We have about almost 900,000 subs on this channel, and we get like we're averaging like 500,000 per podcast episode. So that means like more than it's like 60% of the audience watches every day or whatever.
Yeah. That's great.
Or
right?
you can say that most people watch a couple times a week.
And the way the algorithm works, to my understanding, is because I know people who have zero growth on YouTube. But they'll have 1 million subs, and every video they post gets 250,000, 500,000 views. But they don't have any growth because what YouTube sees, okay, this piece of it's mostly vlog content. This vlog is getting very high retention time with its subscriber base. So they'll push it out to more of the subscribers, and then they do kind of testing in the algorithm for some like lookalike audiences, and then they check the retention time from those algorithmic viewers. And then usually those algorithmic viewers don't come back good because it's the fans that want that content, and then they pull it back, and it doesn't get the expanded growth, but it has a high percentage of watch time from subscribers. My page is the complete opposite, my prank page, where I'll get like 10% of my subs watching, and then like randomly, like 2-3 months later, I'll have a video pop off with like 5 million views. Yeah. Because it's just like the algorithm, since it's all evergreen, the algorithm be like, okay, well, this content does good with random people clicking on it.
Well, it'll find that audience. It'll fall into the hole. So here's what I'm saying. If you get rid of the independent creators, they're not going to leave YouTube. Most views come from people who are told what to watch. No joke.
Yeah.
Now it's a mix between the interests of the individual and what YouTube recommends. If there's somebody who likes watching, videos titled "Democrats are awful," and they send a video saying Democrats are great, they're gonna be like, I ain't clicking that, and so it gets ignored. So there's a balance there. YouTube would probably lose a decent amount of their users if they banned everybody and if Section 230 got repealed, but most of the people would probably stay. Then the activists would just target other social networks and call them
there are two
racist.
types of people that use YouTube, maybe 3. There's the group of people that want to see independent creators, and the group that just go to YouTube to they probably don't even have accounts, that are just like, oh, I'm going to just Google this, look it up. Or I remember watching this funny viral video, let me look it up and show my friends. Or they're just typing in funny cats,
Yeah.
The casual users, maybe they're going on to see the news. They're like less engaged, but those types of people, YouTube is the go-to.
So you get rid of Section 230, and I'll be doing great.
Yeah.
Well, in the short term, but I mean, I don't think any of us will be doing. Well, I don't know actually,
bro. You know how much money like Sean Hannity gets, and like what his viewership is
from his YouTube stuff.
So his viewership, I think, was at like 4 or 5 million a night at its peak, and then people abandoned Fox. But even without him getting 4 or 5 million a night, and then you include YouTube, so I recently cut down the amount of segments I was producing. But I was getting like 3.5 million a day. Sean Hannity was getting, 4 or 5 million.
The problem is you would be like the golden child, and your ad revenue would go up, but you'd be stuck under their terms of service still, which could get more strict.
The difference between, I guess, traditional media hosts and new media hosts is in the traditional media, the ad rates pay way higher.
That's what YouTube
CPMs.
wants, though.
Yeah, and they play way more ads, mainly because there's no skipping around. There's no jump. I guess you can change channels, but if you're watching Sean Hannity and the commercials start
Yeah,
popping
and you get
on,
like
I'll
5,
go
6
make a
commercials.
sandwich, come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Minutes go by.
Yeah, on the internet, people do not have the patience. Oh,
Right.
stupid ad. I'll watch another video. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe we need our own network. Each individual has their own network where they can post all their videos, so you don't have to worry about 230 of anyone else's content. And then you can respond to other content through like an RSS where you can see if they responded to one of yours. I don't know if you could watch your videos on my network, because that might make me...
It's kind of like what Roku is doing. So I just signed with a company, and they're like, hey, we want to put your prank content into its own channel on the Roku devices. I'm like, yeah, just go ahead, do it. And like they made a channel, Joey Salad's channel, and they link it with like an RSS feed. So whenever I post, it automatically gets posted into that.
Is Roku responsible for your content under 230?
I wouldn't know about any of that
That's
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
If they weren't, that'd be really cool. If just some
It's
tech...
cool because it comes off like an actual show. That's why I was telling you to do it, because people watch that stuff on the TV. Retention time's higher. The ad rate CPM is higher. I'm sure tons of your viewerships would love to watch your podcast and just click it on the TV.
You know, man, I could do a million things to make my business run better.
distribution.
We don't do any ad reads. You know, like people listen to this podcast and we have no ad reads at all.
Like for instance, we don't talk about super male vitality.
Yeah, Alex
From
There we go.
InfoWars
Alex
and get a
Jones.
kickback.
You give me some money because we mentioned your.
That's right.
How many did you sell, Alex?
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
we want to cut
numbers.
We want money. No, but like almost every single podcast, they open the show with some kind of ad. So I'm talking to people about doing some kind of ads because I'm like, we're not being particularly efficient with how we do things. We kind of just turn the cameras on and just hang out. You know, we probably do a lot better job. But you know, man, times are getting crazy. It's Christmas. We're chilling.
Yeah.
I'm into the Roku. So this Roku
That does
thing
sound
sounds
cool.
pretty promising.
I feel like that's gonna be the new wave of next year. You're gonna see a lot of creators.
So the
getting
earlier
on it.
you get
now
on
that
it,
I'm saying it on such a big show, I bet you every
Everyone's
like
gonna
creator
flock
people are like,
watching it is
right now.
how do I sign up?
People need to realize, you know, I think there's a lot of people who look for quick gimmicks to try and get big quick. They look at Vine, the original. For those who aren't familiar with Vine, man, how many people remember what Vine was?
Oh,
I
yeah,
got a
they're
Vine
huge.
tattoo if you want to see it.
You have a Vine tattoo? Do you
Oh my
regret getting
gosh.
it?
Nah.
Were you like a huge
Never.
Vine star? Oh,
yeah.
nice one,
did you
dude.
start on Vine?
Yeah, that's how I got my big break.
We gotta see.
Look at
this.
that.
So
What?
Vine getting
Vine?
bashed with an
I
axe.
can't zoom in.
Getting
Epic.
oh, when
Gosh.
they destroyed it.
Well, I did like a series called like It's Bashing Time.
What
So
happened?
wait, yeah, you got started on Vine, huh?
Then I got that's how I got my
Wait.
big break.
Oh,
but I always
wow.
did YouTube.
There's
Then I got
more. Yeah.
Facebook and YouTube.
Nice.
But hey, if
Gotta
any
move your
YouTube
mic.
reps are watching, remonetize my pages or else I'm exiting this out.
Yeah, do it.
You know?
What happens if they change their logo and then you got like, what's that company? It's like YouTube. Oh, that's
Right.
what. It's like imagine
Remember
if you
YouTube?
I was gonna get the Instagram one, and then like I didn't end up getting it.
They
And then
changed
like
it.
then like 2 weeks later they did a new Instagram logo.
So you were big on YouTube, and then you started doing Vine. You were huge on
No,
YouTube in
so
like 2010, right? 11 or
So
something?
I did YouTube since I was a kid. Never got any views. You know, hundreds, maybe 1,000 views if I was lucky. Then I took like a 2-year hiatus because I was like, this is not working out. This is not going to be a career. Let me go to school. Went to college for like a year, failed everything. But during that time, I downloaded Vine because an ex-girlfriend of mine made me download it because she was like recording videos of me. And I'm like, this is such a stupid app, 6 seconds. Like, how can you downloaded it, end up making a bunch of videos, ended up going viral, got, 1 million followers on there. And I'm like, damn, Vine's going to go under. I'm like, I saw how the market was going. It's all about like retention time. And this must have been like 2011 or whatever. And then I started moving all my audience to YouTube, stopped posting on Vine, and then a year later, Vine went out of business.
How could you tell
well,
Vine
Vine
was
got
going?
bought by Twitter.
Yeah.
And then they were basically like, this is what Periscope's gone, right?
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah, Periscope's
that
getting
just
the
went
X.
on?
Yeah.
When? Wow.
I saw something about it. I don't know exactly what's going on.
Jeez, too much bandwidth cost?
Well, no, because what Twitter does is they buy a company, and then once people are used to using it on the Twitter app, they axe the other
and
company.
they just meld
They
them
don't
into Twitter?
want the competition.
What?
Yeah, buy and destroy.
That's called hostile takeover, isn't it?
Vine was unique because it was the first like app to have video format on. And then
Yeah.
Instagram came out with it. And
Yeah, because Instagram was just
since,
photos.
Since the bandwidth on phones also started to increase, YouTube became more accessible on the apps. So it's just Vine was like the first of its time and just never innovated past that point.
And they did
Got
they
bought
have
by
ads?
Twitter and then blown
Yeah,
up.
that was the biggest mistake.
They never got
ever.
ads. They sold the company instead.
Yeah, I was hearing stories that they were going to put an ad program in place, but then like a bunch of influencers were like spreading the word, and then everybody wanted a piece of the cut, and then they just canned it.
Hyperinflated their value and sold probably
I think
100,000 times what they...
I think influencer value is It's tough because
So in the
I
past
think
24
influencer
hours,
value
we have seen
is
some-
overrated, but at the same time, it is that powerful.
Yeah, money can't buy the value of communication.
The thing is, like, I use Ninja for example.
What's
he
Ninja?
was the Ninja.
Ninja the guy.
Yeah. He was the biggest Twitch streamer. He was all over. He was favored, so they
But
put
for
him
Fortnite,
on.
right?
Yeah, for Fortnite. On
Remember,
all the talk
remember
shows.
when he did the dance on New Year's and no one knew who he was?
Yeah. It was
So
cringy.
maybe that's why you guys might know him. He did the floss dance in Times Square in New York. Nobody there knew who he was.
I think they might have knew who he was.
No, come
but
on, man. His audience is 12-year-olds.
That's true. But
I have a friend who's like he was in a band that was like decently famous and toured around. And when I met him, I was at this venue for like it's a big venue in Chicago called the Metro. Some band was playing. Everyone there was like in their 20s and 30s. And I saw him and I was like, "Whoa, dude, aren't you so and so?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Wow, man, nice to meet you. I'm a fan." And he's like, "Cool, man." And then I was like, "Anybody here recognize you?" And he goes, "How old's everybody here? Are they over 18?" No, probably not. And I laughed and I was like, "What'd that say about me?"
Yeah.
But yeah, like his audience wasn't there.
Yeah, back what I was saying about Ninja is Mixer bought him for like tens of millions of dollars, whatever they paid him. I think some people were saying it was close to $100 million.
And that's Microsoft, right?
Yeah, Microsoft bought Mixer, Mixer bought Ninja, then they started getting other influencers too. But they thought, Ninja, the biggest Twitch streamer, we're going to get him on Mixer, and that's going to help out Mixer. His viewership went from hundreds of thousands of live viewers to like 1,000, 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Not at first. When he first went on, it was big numbers.
And then it just died off.
And then it just died off because influencers, many
Rogan.
influencers are only as strong as the platform they're on.
Yeah, dude.
And I saw that same exact thing happen with Joe Rogan. I listen to Joe Rogan, but only on YouTube. I'll watch his viral clips. I'll listen to it here and there. Maybe then I'll go over to a full show, but it's always on YouTube.
I haven't been to Spotify yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like
dude,
I don't want to.
I don't do it.
Like I'm just like angry that he went to Spotify still. But
I got no beef.
Hey, good for him. I mean, I would take the bag too.
I mean, yeah,
That's a lot of money.
But
Once his
it's
contract
almost
ends,
it's I wonder because we were talking about before. It's almost like a retirement.
Yes.
Not to be disrespectful because I know Joey's a friend, but when someone offers you that much money,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Joe. He's a good businessman.
That's
He knows
FU
exactly
money next level.
But he probably knew exactly what it meant by going exclusive with Spotify. And there was a big backlash where people were commenting. So his main YouTube channel now has become a clip channel. I guess a clip channel is nothing now. I have no idea. That's millions. That's 10 million subscribers. And he recently got the Diamond Award on YouTube. All those subscribers subscribe to watch the long form show, not the clips. Yeah. And so now there's comments of people who are like, I don't even watch anymore. But here's what you got to realize too. By going to Spotify, he lost the comment section.
Yeah.
So people were having conversations. That's gone.
And the discoverability on YouTube was what's really driving the traffic. I mean, Spotify is its own platform, but it's not something really people go there to discover stuff.
But the good news is for him now is that you go open up Spotify podcasts and Joe Rogan Experience is right
you're
there.
Paying the guy $100 million. You're gonna
And the devs are pretty much at his beck and call.
Yeah.
He wants them to build a comment section.
But he
now.
loses iTunes, so he's not even on. You open up iTunes app, gone, nothing
Exclusive
there.
contracts are freaky.
His audience size, like potential, has literally been limited by like 1/10 of the size.
This is why people keep saying like, Tim, why aren't you on Rumble or whatever? There's two reasons. The first is that someone already got the username Timcast, and I'm not going to be bothered.
Lame. Maybe they'll give it to you.
I'm not going to ask them. Well, now I guess I just said it on the show.
Yeah,
so
they'll email you.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
please, Tim, please come.
Yes.
I have so many companies where like every day we get like 10 people being like, 10 different companies. We started a new social media company. Sign up. We reserve your name. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
I keep telling everybody, man, YouTube is a money pit that loses money. Like Uber. This is what Silicon Valley does to destroy this country and business in this country. Uber loses money like crazy. Like, dude, Uber loses money. But here's the plan. You subsidize the cost through investors until you strangle out all the competition, undercutting local cabs. Cab drivers go nuts. There were like cab driver riots in France. Yeah. I was in New York a couple years ago, and there were cab drivers protesting outside of City Hall, saying that Uber destroyed their business. And in order to drive a cab in New York, you need like a cab token, and they cost like $1 million. It's like you got to pay it off with a loan. And so they were like, we were told Uber would only be allowed to drive so many cars. So we buy these things, and then once they brought in 30,000 Uber cars, allowing them, then all of a sudden these tokens are worthless, and no one drives in our cars anymore. So what happens is cabs cost more money. That's right. You know why? Because you got to pay for everything: the gas, the maintenance, the repair, and the person's wage. With Uber, same thing applies, but it's cheaper because they eat the cost, take a huge loss. YouTube does that. YouTube sinks, is money's on fire.
Netflix does that too.
They lose money like crazy, but they make money off of they take money from investors or through subsidy. So YouTube is subsidized by the parent companies. The parent companies make sure YouTube functions, and then so the cost is ridiculous. But this makes it so that no one goes anywhere else.
Yeah.
And all they have to do now is wait until everything withers and is strangled. I'll tell you, it's simple. It's simple, this principle, really. You got a mom and pop cafe. This was happening in Seattle. At least this was the stories I was told when I lived in Seattle. It was a long time ago. This was like 14 years ago. You'd have a mom and pop local family small business cafe. One day, a Starbucks would open next door, and it would offer discounts, super cheap drinks, and then it would split their business. Because there are some people who are big fans of the local cafe. It's the best cafe. You got to go. They make a great French roast. But then there are a lot of people who are just like, I just want a coffee. Starbucks, they got milkshakes or whatever, you know.
It.
Yeah, and so they see the Starbucks sign and they know it's coffee, and they see the mom and pop's, whiz bang cafe, and they're like, I don't know what that is.
But you know what? There's a difference between, I would say, I agree with you, but I think there is a difference between Starbucks and Uber. Uber kind of innovated an industry. Starbucks is just like a big corporation that can offer better prices.
But I just mean the principle.
Yeah.
People were telling me that in Seattle they were doing this. I just want to make sure that's clear. It's like what I was told. I don't know if it's true. But they would say like Starbucks would open up right across the street. Then the small business would not be able to compete with Starbucks. Yeah. But you got, bro, in San Francisco, just off of Market Street. I can't remember exactly what street this is. There's like three Starbucks locations. Like
in Hollywood,
there's two,
4 of them,
bro,
a mile away.
I went not even within a mile. No, in one point they're right across the street from each other. Yeah. So I was walking on the street looking for a Starbucks. I pull up on my phone and it's like 2 dots appear on my Google Maps or whatever, and I'm like, what? Which one? What? There's 2 of them. And so I walk and I look. I'm like, oh, there's Starbucks. And then I walk inside. I grab, like a water or whatever, and I grab like a thing of Madeline's or some cookies, whatever they sell at Starbucks. And when I'm waiting in line, I look across the street and I see a Starbucks logo on the other side of the street, and I was like, no.
You know what?
It's true.
I use that similar analogy when I'm talking to people who like support minimum wage increases. And I brought up to one guy, I'm like, what do you think about restaurant owners paying their employees $15 an hour? He's like, oh, you mean a livable wage? I'm like, one, a livable wage is different depending on where you are and who you are.
Right.
But I'm like, you want to increase minimum wage? I'm like, do you not understand like the overhead that goes into running? I used a pizzeria as an analogy. You increase minimum wage, now that cashier needs to earn money. The phone girl needs to earn more money. Now It costs more money for raw materials. Now your pizza and price go up, and people get pissed off. Now you're selling more expensive pizzas because the minimum wage increase.
Or they start skimping on materials.
They start skimping. The quality goes
bromate,
down. But then you have
potassium bromate in their bread.
But then a Domino's opens up across it. This wouldn't fly in New York, or at least not in Staten Island, But anywhere else, a Pizza Hut or a Domino's opens up across the street. And they can give you a pizza for 1/10 the price.
Yep.
And they can afford to pay their employees $15 an hour because they have that massive infrastructure to get you cheap prices. Also, if they subsidize it with shareholders. So I'm like, so you want $15 an hour? That's just going to destroy small businesses. Yeah. And then you're going to have to go work for a corporation. Now you're stuck making $15 an hour for the rest of your life because you're working for Pizza Hut.
The idea that you can artificially inflate the wages for people is just wrong, man. I talked to, I told this before, I was talking to an accountant who was he's a Democrat guy. He's like, urban Democrat, not super political, but, he votes Dem. And I asked him about it because New Jersey was passing a wage increase. And he said, oh, I lost 30% of my clients already. Wow. They shut their businesses down overnight. Because what you got to realize.
Vote Democrat?
He did?
Does he still vote Democrat?
Oh, no, dude. And that's why I'm like, it's so crazy that I lived in a blue area. Everybody was Democrat. And then within a couple of years, they were all Trump supporters. Mm-hmm.
Our whole lives we were riding the bubble of the boomers. Is that what the
boomers?
They were just printing money and the white picket fence, get a house. The American dream was just a big bubble. They just kept printing more and more and more money. Now there's 27 trillion of it.
That's not the issue.
Our whole lives we were riding that bubble. We didn't realize
there's a lot of different issues as to why the boomers retain so much wealth and young people don't.
That oil money.
I think it has to do with boomers being bad parents. I think it has to do with boomers being some of the worst.
Ignorant for sure. They didn't realize they were riding that bubble too, I don't think.
It's not about riding a bubble.
The American military bubble.
Yeah, so World War II, we decimated the industries of our rival foreign countries. And then that's annoying. And then you have American industry picks up the slack, and our factories were fine. Nobody came here. There's a lot of reasons why things were doing well, and there's a lot of arguments about it, but there's a lot to be said Everybody wants to blame Ronald Reagan for trickle-down economics as to why it happened, but they overlook the fact that Republicans were, and this is true, back then Republicans wanted to start importing a lot of cheap labor and outsourcing to get cheap labor. If you were in a factory, it's like the late 70s and 80s, you're like, man, why do I got to pay, $4 an hour, $5 an hour to this employee when I can have this stuff produced in Mexico for dirt and then shipped up here? And so that's where the trend comes in. The jobs get destroyed, and that's ultimately what leads us to Trump.
I think the reason I brought up the bubble that we're in is because my whole life I thought if you need to raise the minimum wage, raise the minimum wage. Print, make the short-term value, and then later we can recoup the loss as a short-term investment. But I didn't realize that it was like a Ponzi scheme.
It's so easy to explain why minimum wage increases do not work. What you need is the value of time to go up, and how you do that is very complicated. But it's really easy to explain to somebody. If I'm growing apples and I got to hire someone at $10 an hour to pick the apples, and he can pick 10 apples per hour, just these are ridiculous numbers. He can obviously pick more than that. Then the cost of an apple has to be over $1 because then I got to pay for overhead, the machinery, the planting. So an apple costs $2. Well, now you double the guy's wage, right? Let's say you give him $20 an hour now, because why not? Rashida Tlaib was already saying, 15 is not enough, $20. Okay, so now each apple has to cost at least $2. Now all of a sudden apples go up in price, but guess what? The people who pick the apples also need to eat. So now I'm giving them $20 an hour, and then they're going to the supermarket and going, I can't even buy apples anymore because the price just doubled. So you're not giving them buying power. Increasing the minimum wage does not give anyone buying power.
It's like a short-term buying power.
No, it's a trick to make them think.
Yeah. It's a short-term. As the inflation catches up, it takes like 8 months.
It destroys the savings of retirees because now you still can't buy the apple because you have the same buying power, but now everybody who saved can only buy half the apples they originally could have bought.
It does so much. It helps out the bigger business. Yep. It hurts the little guy. It causes inflation. It allows the government to tax you more as well. And also it spits in the face of the people who maybe are trying to work their way up at Walmart. Maybe, hey, I put in 10 years at Walmart. I want to work my way up. You started at $5 an hour. Now you're making 20. And then some jerk off comes and makes 15.
I got to tell you what I'm sick of. I am sick of the fact that you are left wing or right wing based on whether you are stupid. And so when I go to a Democrat accountant and he tells me, look what happened on paper to all of these businesses when they raised minimum wage, the buying power did not go up. It stayed the same, and it destroyed these small businesses that didn't have the savings to maintain this.
One thing you could do.
And then everyone says, because I'm not in favor of minimum wage, it's a right-wing position. So what, the left is stupid?
It's just an incomplete concept to raise the wage. You need to raise savings account interest as well, I think, if you're going to do something like that. So the banks take a hit and the consumer can maintain buying power.
Interest, that's not going to do anything for somebody who makes $10 an hour. They don't have a savings to see any increase in their interest.
Ideally, it would help them grow savings account.
Not only does it hurt business-wise, inflation-wise, all that stuff, it also hurts the culture. Because if you had a lower minimum wage, someone's first job at the age of 13, 14, his $5 an hour, worked the cashier. Now they're developing business.
I was making $4.25, I think.
I've been working. I worked my first job when I was like 13, 14 years old for like $5 an hour. And, that's a growing experience. Everybody should have that experience. Now, what kid is going to get a job when the minimum wage is $15 an hour? You're going to want to hire the best of the best to make up for that price. And the left always uses this argument. Oh, you go to In-N-Out, they pay their employees above minimum wage, and look how good the service is versus McDonald's. It's like, no, they're not doing better because they're getting a higher wage. They're doing better because they're literally just picking the best of the best fast food workers, and that's why they're getting paid more, because they're the best of the best.
And because McDonald's pays less, they're less concerned. Right. Yeah. Because the good burger employees and cashiers are going to be like, I'm going to work for In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I don't want to work for McDonald's.
So the minimum wage really pinned people like me when I worked in the hospital, because I was a tech and I went to school for it. It didn't take very long, but I was making more than the minimum wage because I had a little bit of extra education. So one of the things I found was when my state was raising the minimum wage was that my wage would go up as well, a little bit at a time, along kind of the same lines, and I wouldn't be able to buy or do anything more. It made absolutely no difference. Yeah. The price of everything stayed exactly the same. I was like, why are we doing this?
There's one benefit: imports. And so that's why you see people like Joe Biden tie multiple policies together with the left. Free trade agreements, increase minimum wage, higher corporate taxes, drive the industry to foreign countries, give everybody in the U.S. an increased wage, but not the slave labor in China. So the people in China who are living under a communist boot, who live in squalor to such a degree that they've walked off of the Foxconn buildings in mass suicide incidents, and the Foxconn lab had to put up nets to catch people to stop from killing themselves, they don't get a wage increase. So what happens with the minimum wage increase that helps Americans is that if you're making $10 an hour and then they increase your wage to 15, congratulations. You can now buy, it's now easier for you. Your buying power in terms of imported goods has gone up.
But you need to maintain your slaves. That's the only way. It's a slave economy. Yeah, we
China,
live in a slave economy.
China has to maintain the
Yay,
slave
Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, but there's a lot more slaves that we're using.
I mean, listen, first of all, slavery is never, there's more slaves alive today than there's ever been.
Dude, what the heck? And
it's the Obama's involvement in Libya resulted in the return of the North African slave trade. It's insane.
I can imagine using robots as manufacturers because, like a computer slave, but
for now, you still need people to do the finer manipulation of, you can use your hands to do better than
we didn't even talk about the increase in automation.
Right.
Yeah.
McDonald's, they have sometimes I'll go into like a newer McDonald's. It'll be like one person at the register and 5 machines that you
dude. Well beyond that. Yeah. You go to like travel stops when you're driving around the country, and they have a robot ice cream man. You ever see these things?
I saw those.
Yeah. And it's like there's a little guy. It's like a creepy cylinder with little arms, and its arm will spin and then grab the cup and then go, and then it'll pull the lever down, fills the ice cream up, and it's like staring at you with its like creepy robotic gaze, and then like the sprinkles come down, and then it goes.
I love it. I think the automation economy is inevitable, and that the whole job economy thing is probably going to be a thing of the past eventually.
Somebody's got to build the robots. Somebody's got to design the robots. Somebody's got to maintain the robots. Electricity has.
This has happened all throughout history.
Right.
The
fourth industrial revolution is coming.
And people. I mean, it's not like it used to be where you can work a job for 20, 30 years. You need to constantly evolve your brain and how you work and your work ethic and your skills and your knowledge. Constantly. You can't get comfortable and work a job for 30, 40 years. I mean, obviously, there's some jobs you can, but for the most part, your job right now is going to be obsolete in 20 years.
Did I ever tell you the story about the homeless guy I met in Chicago?
No.
So this is a story I tell a lot of people, and I probably told it on this show, but there's a homeless guy I was skating in downtown Chicago when I was like 18 or 19, and he looked like he was like 60, he was some old black dude. And I had some leftover pizza, so I was like, hey man, you want some pizza? I was just leaving the restaurant, and he was like, yeah, for sure, man. I think he called me Youngblood or something, and I was like, you got it, bro, and fist bump. And then I was like, can I ask you a personal question? And I was like, are you homeless? And he says, yes, sir, I am. And I was like, how did that happen? Long story short, he said, listen, man, he's like, I think he said he worked for the post office or something, or he worked for some company for years. And then eventually, when the company started downsizing and they didn't need whatever the company produced anymore, one day someone comes up to him and says, "Sorry, man, like company's going under. Nobody buys this product for whatever reason. So, we're gonna have to let you go. You got about 1 more month." So he loses his job, and then he says the first thing he did was he went to go find more jobs. But when you're an expert working at this factory that produces a specific product, like what job are you gonna find to maintain yourself? He's like, I got an apartment. He's like, I got bills. And I need a certain amount of money. But because my skill is in this area, once I lose that job, I go to any other company. I go to McDonald's, I go to Wendy's, and they're like, we'd love to hire you. You seem great. Some places say you're overqualified. You were a manager. Oh, sorry, we can't hire you. But even if they do, you go from making $20 to $10. He's like, I got a job, but I still couldn't afford my bills. Eventually, I start, my car gets taken. I can't afford my rent anymore. Then eventually, the landlord comes and he says, if you don't pay your rent by this time, I'm kicking you out. And he's like, listen, man. He's like, I'm old man. He's like, my friends and my family, they're gone. Many people have passed. And then one day they come to me and say, you can't pay your rent. You're gone. He's like, I exhausted unemployment benefits. I had nothing left. And now here I am.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that happen now because of the lockdowns. We're going to see restaurant owners being managers at McDonald's if they're lucky.
Oh, get under the boot of the corporate machine, man.
That's what we're going to see.
And you know what? You know what really bothers me? I want to go back to this. The minimum wage is stupid, and I will assert myself as left on economic policy. Everything I just explained about this guy losing his job and becoming homeless is a problem brought up by economic leftists. But I'm not stupid enough to think the minimum wage solves that problem. And you know who's for the lockdowns right now?
Bill Gates.
It's the left.
Yeah.
The leftists, who are destroying. Like, listen, there are Republicans who are ignoring it. Like I said, the Democrats, in these cities and states have destroyed the economy, and they've turned people from small business owners with their own little, private space and fiefdom and ownership that made them happy, and they've pushed them down into the poverty class, and they want them to live under the boot of corporations. And it is the left in this country that is doing it. The left is supposed to be saying that government is good. Government is good. We all work together. We do socialism, and the people are in this together.
The Democrats,
yet they're using the power of government to force people to work for McDonald's. That's the left.
The Democrats' future, they want it to be just 10, 20, 30 big trillion-dollar corporations, and the rest of the country just works for them.
Exactly.
That's the Democrats' socialist future. And it's so crazy because they have the voters totally fooled. They have the voters fooled that that's fighting for the people. They hate these big corporations. They hate the billionaires. But everything that they're supporting is funded and supported by the same people they say they hate. They're being so duped.
Yep. I was making the most.
You bribe them.
In any menial job, the most money I ever made, I wasn't making minimum wage. I was making $2.13 an hour as a waiter. And I was getting tips based on percentages of sales. So I was making percentages of what the company was making. And that was the best living I could make. So maybe we don't need minimum wage. Maybe we need a guaranteed percent of
the
profits
Democrats
earned.
That's very leftist
Listen,
of you, Ian.
the Democrats in some areas, I know they were doing this with Uber. They were fighting for waiters and waitresses to make minimum wage.
Yes, no more tip economy.
If you were a waiter and a waitress, you don't want to make minimum wage.
No, you get taxed.
If you work at a good, you get taxed too. If you work at a good bar, you can come home with a couple thousand in it.
And if it's cash, it's not.
Bro.
I mean, they say to declare all your tips, but every waiter I know,
they don't.
Unless it's
under
credit
the
card.
table.
That's why you always make sure you
all your credit
I'll
card
leave it there.
tip with cash so that it's on the waiter's
No,
back.
no. Pay your taxes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and pay your taxes.
I know people who do waitering, and the people who do it full time as a full time job, they'll claim like half of their tips.
But also, how is it that if you help me move some boxes and I give you $50, that you need to go tell the government? That's crazy.
I mean,
get off my back.
You know what?
No,
that's probably another reason why the Democrats want corporate America, because everything goes through the tax
That's why they
system
want
perfectly.
digital currencies too.
Yes.
They want everything to be tracked and everything. So look, I'll try and keep as vague as possible because I don't want to reveal people's private information. But I have friends when I was growing up where one dude goes to college, gets a degree, and then he gets out, and the job he gets with that degree pays him like $15 an hour, and he's happy. He's like, yeah, I got a degree. It's an entry level position. I'm 22. And then I have friends who go and serve, like at a restaurant, like a steakhouse, and they make $50 an hour. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't want minimum wage.
I opened up my own small business a few years ago. I opened up a grilled cheese joint.
So you're a fascist.
I opened up a grilled cheese joint called Get Grilled.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah. And
It still exists?
No.
Oh,
we wanted to turn it into a brand. It was like a Subway for grilled cheeses.
That's amazing.
It was awesome.
But Subway can do grilled cheese. I mean,
you don't go there for
really.
grilled cheese.
Right.
Good bread, good cheese.
Yeah, and it was a really good idea. It was awesome. Everybody that visited was like, wow, this is going to be big. This is awesome. They're so good, the grilled cheeses. We made the process like as similar to like that streamlined process to make things
like
easier.
Chipotle?
Yeah. And the thing is, after doing that, realizing all the regulations of coming in, how expensive it was because of the taxes. My employees made way more money than me.
Yep.
And I had to end up paying them out of the pocket because it wasn't profitable. And one of the reasons was, one, the mall that we were in was really bad. And then two, just like the regulations of them coming in, all this useless stuff that we don't need. And then some like idiot who's coming there and like, making sure everything's up to code made us put like this 6-foot, like what you see now when you go into a store and there's like that glass shield. They made us put that over the food.
Yep.
And like when we're talking to the customers, we gotta like lean over because they can't hear us because the wall is like curved. And I'm like, that's just like unnecessary. Like what? Like
there's a metric where I'll put it this way: there's a correlation between the strength of a country's economy and the ease at which an individual has to start a business. The harder it is to start a business, the worse economies do. And I'll tell you, we talked about this, last week or whatever. In Tunisia.
I'm sorry, real quick. And also in that same mall, all the similar businesses were all owned and ran by the business owner.
Exactly.
Like they would work 12-hour shifts. And that was the only way they can be profitable. Sorry, to cut you off.
In Tunisia, the Arab Spring started because a guy was trying to sell fruit from a cart, and the government kept blocking him and wouldn't let him. So eventually, he just went in front of a building and set himself on fire. But I'll tell you this: you think grilled cheese is a good idea? You want to know the best idea ever for a fast casual restaurant?
What?
You go in, all right, and there's 3 key food items. 3 food items. That's what we saw, and then sides. And you know what it is? it's chicken tikka masala, it's pad thai, and it's orange chicken.
Yeah.
So those are actually like the top.
Well, that's kind of like what In-N-Out does. It's fries and burgers, and that's why they're able to.
I'm half kidding though, but like I had this idea because I was reading about the top things ordered from Grubhub or whatever.
I love it.
It's like pad thai, chicken tikka masala, and orange chicken, and I was like, put them all in one fast casual place. You know, call
that's
it
a good
super.
idea.
You know what you could do? I'm going to
shop.
reveal this idea online. Maybe someone will build it. You make combinations where
That's
they
what
can
I'm
go
doing.
in and they can decide what oil they want. Do they want coconut, olive,
But the overhead on that
sesame
that
oil,
exists.
and then what vinegar they want. Do they want
exists.
rice wine? What you just pick the oil and the vinegar that goes into the food changes the flavor completely.
There's a place in there's a chain in New York that does that.
And you'll be like, I'd like a white wine vinegar with a coconut oil.
And they have a fridge full of all the different kinds of lettuce. They have like spinach, spring greens,
cool.
romaine, iceberg, and then they have the different meats, and then they have
different fish.
Yeah, different fish. And you walk in, you'll say, I'll do spring greens with grilled chicken, and I'll do the white wine vinegar with crispy onions and mushrooms.
Like
and then they take it all and then they cook it in front of you as you're walk down the line. It's really
It's
good.
all about
place.
that
Really
oil
good.
and that vinegar, man.
I forgot how it's called. Though.
Is that the one where they cook it on like a thing with like sticks?
That's a hibachi. I think.
No.
There's one where like they cook.
This is
with
like
sticks.
it's kind of like Chipotle. You walk in, you get in line, and then you walk up and say, "What do you want?" And you're like, "Spring greens, steak."
The more
and they cook the steak and they cut it in front of you. It's amazing.
Yeah. So the thing is, like with the restaurant industry, the more you add to the menu, the more options you give, it just adds more to the costs of running things. Because then if you have more items, you need more space. Because obviously at first too,
you just keep your base ingredients. Like
Yeah.
you want a salmon, you want like a steak, and like
that's why
also
Chipotle.
a chicken, and
that's
then
why. Yeah, like
all you do
Chipotle
is
is
stock
so
the oils in.
streamlined. It's like 4 different types of meats, 2 different types of rice, 2 different types of beans, and you can make all these different types of combinations. Same thing with In-N-Out. It's just burgers and fries, so it's like they can handle 100 customers every 10 minutes because it's only burgers and fries. They're just mass cooking it and getting it out the door.
Yeah.
But if they had to make to order at In-N-Out, you'll be online for 6 hours.
And then you have in Seattle, you have Dick's. Do you know Dick's in Seattle?
Last Resort.
No, it's just called Dick's.
Oh.
It's a hamburger joint called Dick's. And so the reason
Sounds tasty.
The reason why they do really well though is not because they just sell burgers and fries and milkshakes, I think. But you want to know why that business does really well? Because when I'm in Seattle, my friends go, "You want to eat a bag of Dicks?" I'm not
always
no,
say yes.
Yeah.
No,
That's
I'm
clever.
not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Clever.
And
I
so
love it.
and then the first time I heard that, I was like, haha, very funny. Like, no, Dick's, the burger joint. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, it's a burger joint. I was
Like
like,
hell
oh.
yeah! Oh, burgers. Now.
Oh
So
yeah.
all of a sudden, but think about it. All of a sudden, you're like, someone like, what do you want to do tonight? Let's go out. Let's go eat a bag of Dicks. And you're like,
It's like Bang Energy
and then everyone's
drink.
laughing. So somebody gets the joke, and then you actually go and buy the burgers, right? So it's like it's clever marketing.
Yeah.
Clever marketing. But anyway, we were talking about
Dick's a funny word. Let's be honest. It's a guy's name.
That's right.
Do you know
All
what
sorts
you know
of
what really
things.
creeped me out? I saw a billboard once on Seattle, and it was a pig grilling bacon or something.
What?
Yeah,
That's
it was
not
like a
right.
billboard for like a smokehouse or like barbecue, and it was like a smiling pig with a chef's hat, and he was like frying
cannibal.
bacon, and I was like, jeez.
Yeah, pigs will eat each other, I
Brutal.
believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they will.
apparently they
Yeah,
will.
Luke was telling us about that. Luke was saying that he was on a farm with a bunch of pigs, and the pigs will like bite you because they're trying to eat you, and you got to like kick them back and stop
Dang,
them.
they're hungry.
And then he was saying that what they do when you're on a farm and there's no food and you're like struggling or starving, they'll cripple one of the pigs, and the other pigs will just eat it.
Oh wow.
Crazy, dude. Pigs are nuts.
I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back.
Anyway, regulation, Joey. Regulation destroys small businesses.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen it firsthand, and it's I was at this one place yesterday. Damn, what was the name of it? It was in Staten Island, and the guy got arrested.
Oh yeah, you went to that bar.
Max pub house or public
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You went there?
Yeah, I went there. We were just all hanging out.
Oh, that's
and-
right, because you're a former congressional candidate from Staten Island.
That's right. Yeah.
a former loser.
No.
So,
Well, former loser. You did lose.
I did lose.
So you're
yeah,
a loser.
yeah. Damn it.
Ongoing loser.
Ongoing loser. So, what they did was they did all the legal loopholes to get it past lockdowns. They're, an autonomous zone. They're a
Yes.
chapel now. I told them, I'm like, just put a Black Lives Matter sign on the
Yes.
front because de Blasio says that's okay.
Yeah.
But even though they're doing all the legal
They're
loopholes to
still
open
getting-
up, it does not matter
Right.
because the Democrats' agenda, like their law is a sliding scale. Even though you're following it, I don't like it. We're going to shut you down. And those
Yeah,
people
well,
in
but let's-
particular, they're
it's-
broke.
It's
It
the
is
cops,
just-
bro.
Yeah,
There'd be
I don't-
no
yeah.
shut. This guy would not be shut down if the cops weren't enforcing
exactly. I heard that my people were telling me that not so much the NYPD, but the sheriff and like the state troopers. The NYPD, they came to my family's restaurant multiple times. They don't give a damn. They come, whatever. Oh, I never told you this story. So my family's restaurant opened up in the summer when they allowed some of the outdoor dining. And then they, a health official came and analyzed the place or whatever. Everybody was wearing masks. They were all up to code. Some people were wearing masks that weren't like masks, but they were like a face visor, like a see-through, like plastic visor. I guess that wasn't okay.
Yeah, it's got to be cloth.
Yeah, and the guy comes in, he looks around, and he takes the liquor license away.
Just what? Right like that.
Right then and there.
Wow.
And then it goes to, I guess, the liquor department.
Can you give the booze away if you have no liquor license?
That's another loophole that I think Max was doing.
Yeah.
They were giving the food away,
Right.
and then just had a donation jar.
Yeah.
But you know, the loopholes don't matter.
Right.
Then I went online and I found the Liquor Authority, their live stream of them all talking and declaring for every business, okay, we're going to fine them $50,000. Okay, we're going to fine them $30,000, but they have to shut the music off at 10 o'clock. Like all these rules trying to punish businesses, and these are unelected people sitting in a position of power. And trust me, they're the stupidest looking people. You look at them, you're like, these people should be bums on the street. And they're the ones like dictators deciding what businesses are allowed to do and the fines that they have.
You got to get out of New York City, man.
Yeah. And I saw them. They did the whole thing on my family's restaurant. It was completely wrong. They were looking at photos. They had drone footage. And they said, yeah, we see people not wearing masks by the pool. They listed off a bunch of other things. I forgot what it was. But everything they listed, there's no pool.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. There's no pool.
I was like, that's kind of weird.
Everything they were listing off was not even true and was not even, like, they must have had the information from the wrong place.
Or they don't care, man.
Or they don't care. And there's no appeal process. You can't state your case. It's just whatever they say, they bang the gavel,
Joey,
and you're done.
You're actually wrong on all counts. Just because some random person says it doesn't make it true. Like if a random person is like, we're shutting you down, be like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the health inspector. Says who?
Yeah,
Says my
exactly.
badge. What badge? Who's that from?
But
Sorry.
Then they send the state troopers over, and then
come back with the police.
they arrest you.
Come back with a warrant.
I told my mom.
Then get arrested.
I told my mom, I'm like,
disobedience.
next time they come, you take your phone out, you start recording, and you tell them they have no legal constitutional rights to come here and do what they're doing, and you kick them out, and you tell them to come back. Never. Like you kick them out. You say you're banned from the premises. Do not come back here.
You know what, man? I guess this isn't true for Staten Island. Staten, you guys elected Max Rose. All right,
he's out now.
Yeah, he's out now. But look, am I supposed to have sympathy for New Yorkers who keep voting for these people?
See, Staten Island does not vote for any of those. We want to secede
from the city.
The city won't let us because the city knows. Okay, if we let Staten Island be their own
what's the
thing,
city gonna do to stop you?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why aren't we just doing it? Well, the city
file a claim with the state or the Supreme Court.
There's New York City taxes, and then there's state taxes.
That's crazy high.
And the city will not let us leave because everybody in Manhattan would immediately move to Staten Island.
Yep.
All the big businesses will move over there to avoid the tax.
No, they'd move to Jersey City, man.
They do that too, but I'm saying Staten Island.
You still got to pay taxes if you live in Jersey City.
Yeah, Staten Island will, there'll be a mass exodus from Manhattan over this, and it'll make the Democrats look bad because everyone's fleeing, just like they're fleeing now. Everyone from Staten Island kind of abandoned ship.
Hey,
for
man,
the most part, they're just going to Florida.
Ulysses S. Grant says anybody who feels like they're oppressed by their government has a right to revolution. Yeah. That's Ulysses, man. That's the North, you know.
I love Staten. I've been there a couple times. I was there for Hurricane Sandy. I did with Occupy Sandy. I did clean up in Staten Island, where boats would be washed up onto people's lawns.
Sounds crazy, dude.
What's the middle of the island like? I've only ever been to the. You know how houses? Roads will go around, and then the middle it looks like just like wilderness and mountains.
There's a lot of wooded areas. But everything's starting to be torn down for more houses. Oh. The property value, I heard from a realtor, was actually going up because it's one of the places people are leaving Manhattan for. Even though you're still part of New York City, it's just less crime.
But
it's very clean.
This is the thing.
Town.
You know that people in New York City don't consider Staten Island New York City.
That's the thing. Every liberal leftist Democrat in New York City is like F Staten Island. It's
not New York City.
Yeah,
they tell me that Brooklyn was in New York City.
Not want to even be a part of you. Just to let us leave.
No, they want your money, dude.
They just want our money. Like, you hate us. The leaders hate us. The voters hate us. We don't want to be a part of you.
The Staten Island Ferry is fun, though.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to break up the boroughs.
It is, man. Going from what's like Battery Park or whatever, the financial, and then you take the boat to Staten Island.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Brooklyn and Queens are kind of connected. Like they're so interwoven. It'd be tough to break those into two cities.
Queens
We're
is
a whole other island,
man. Queens is massive.
Yeah,
People don't realize how
very
big it is.
Very big.
Yeah.
It's the biggest borough, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. It's ridiculously big. Yeah, but Staten Island, I think I've been there 3 times, and I lived in New York for 5 years. 3 times I've been to Staten Island. But I would go to the Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan all the time, like a couple times a day. You're bouncing around. You got a friend in the Upper West Side. They'll come over across the bridge, come to the Bronx or whatever. Sure.
And all the Democrats, they like to say Staten Island's a big dump. Hey, it's the only like borough you can have a clean, nice backyard, not trip over homeless people in the streets. I'm like, you hate on it because you ain't it. You know?
Is the city of New York extracting the wealth from the boroughs and then centralizing it in Manhattan?
I don't really know.
No, well, yes, but if we replace the word Manhattan with like De Blasio's pockets
Mansion,
yeah, like his wife getting $2 million for her staff or whatever.
$1 billion went missing or something.
Yeah. New York, gotta love it. You know, I think New York. If you live in New York City, you have the second highest taxes in the country.
Yep.
Because of the city tax.
Yeah.
It's city income tax.
City
you
and
got to pay
state.
the city, state, and federal. California is the highest income tax. People are fleeing. You hear what California wants to do?
What?
If you spend at least 60 days in California, non-consecutive, they'll tax you for 10 years.
Wow.
Good luck.
That's why I'm moving to Vegas. 0 state taxes.
Oh, but they got you
I
already,
love
bro. They got
Vegas,
you.
man.
They got you.
Yeah. Well,
You're
I'm
there
moving
now.
at the beginning of the year.
Don't matter. If they pass this bill, they pass this law or whatever, they're gonna come after you. Now, let's be real. What are they gonna do? California State Trooper gonna show up in Vegas
Right.
No.
They'll just shut my bank accounts down.
if they're
What can they
California
do?
based.
Yeah. Oh no. I'm doing everything. All my documents are gonna be Nevada.
California has this year. I think they lost 140,000 people. Net negative migration over the past several years.
Dude.
Yeah.
California is collapsing.
I want to give a shout out to Vegas. I love that city. If you go to the outskirts where it's like there'll be houses and then there's desert. Like your
That's
front
where I
yard is
moved.
desert and
That's
you can
where I
see
moved.
mountains and then behind you
bro,
is the
bro.
city lights of Vegas.
It's
Yeah, but you know that
cool.
Vegas is being they're reversing what's it called, reverse desertification or whatever, a desert reclamation. So because people who move to Vegas want lawns, they import water.
Where from?
Like people move to Vegas and then they want lawns because they don't want desert. They
I
don't
wonder
want
if they'll
sand,
start
right?
seeding. You know how they're in Abu
Bro,
Dhabi,
listen.
they're rain seeding.
They don't need to do that. There's already clouds popping up all over Vegas. It's a desert.
Oh, because of the lawns.
Because the lawns are
wow.
holding moisture and people are
Interesting.
watering them and then the water is cycling back. And so the more people move in
Also pools,
and the
too.
more pools
Yeah.
and the more grass, dude.
Well, I've noticed all the houses that I looked at when I went on my search. I don't think I saw maybe one house with a lawn.
Good.
But a lot of the houses had fake grass and then obviously desert shrubbery. That's what I've noticed.
Check this out. People,
Maybe in
people,
Summerlin I could see. more
I'll tell you something really crazy. People go to Vegas to vacation, right? So you get on a plane, and while you're on the plane, you use a bathroom. There's a lot of water in your poop, in your urine, right? The plane dumps all that off in Vegas when they clean out the system. We are importing fluids from human beings. Not only that, they got to import soda and water and drinks for all of the tourists who keep
Drinking
coming
water,
in.
Exhale water.
Yes, exactly. You exhale
Yeah.
water. So people, every time people come to Vegas, it's getting like, I remember I was there and it was partly cloudy. And I had been to Vegas like a decade ago and it was
They
like
have some man-made lakes there too.
Yeah. We're importing water like crazy. And then the grass is really what's retaining it. So we're turning the Vegas into, green. Like we're terraforming.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I wonder
dude.
if that Mojave, that's the Mojave Desert. Is that desert?
I think it's Mojave.
If that's sediment deposit left over from the flood 12,800 years ago, that North American glacial flood that just dumped,
That's
scathed
the
the
salt-
landscape and then dropped. It's all sand. Like I know the Sahara is ocean sand. If you look at it, just got pushed up onto the continent. And I wonder if this is also like if we could remove that sand, if there would be fresh dirt underneath.
That's interesting.
I don't think it matters. I think humans are inadvertently terraforming Vegas.
Just raining on top of it.
Because that grass is going to turn into dirt eventually.
Dude, that's awesome.
And then we're going to grow more grass, and we just keep bringing it in.
Import dirt.
No, for real, people
Yeah.
are. So we are like, that's crazy. I wonder what we could do to the Sahara too, because what they've been doing with the Sahara is they've been planting trees along the desert line to stop the desert from growing, because it's killing and it expands. So they keep planting trees and trying to big ones, and so it blocks the spread of the desert. We could turn more places green, man.
Yeah, I'd like to put all that ocean sand back into the ocean at some point.
Just get a shovel. We'll just start
one at a time.
Yeah,
Come back.
Or we could maybe use drones to start carting it now and get it done in 20 years.
Drones can't carry that much weight.
One by one. If you have 100 million drones and they
drones
each
gonna fly
carry
for 20 minutes.
10
cup at a
ounces, that's
time.
all you need.
One cup at a time. Let's do this.
Orbital
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about aliens.
Yes.
This will be the last one we talk about. We'll go super chats afterwards. But check this out. Huge ball of fire falls from the sky and crashes into a Chinese county, leaving locals stunned. Giant fireball was spotted flashing across the sky over Nankian, China. Footage shows the burning sphere exploding and plummeting into the country. Let me play this video for you guys, all right? Let me play this video. Wait, what? What is this? What? Okay, no, that's a video of a mob attack for some reason.
No.
What is this?
Yeah, that auto plays. So
that's so dumb. All right,
it,
let's refresh Daily Mail and let's play the. Look at this. This is crazy.
Whoa.
It's like the sun.
What is it?
Wow.
Is it a comet?
You can hear people yelling in Chinese.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
it crashed into the ground. Apparently, what
That's
was
fun.
that? Was that at
That's
night? That was at night.
Oh, it looks like
What the hell?
daytime.
Look at watch. Once it goes over the ridge, you see it get dark.
Holy
Satellite?
Wow.
Is that a satellite coming back?
Come
here?
on,
I was gonna
Ian.
say,
Ian.
It could have been.
Well,
anything
I
that
mean,
crazy.
I know it's aliens. I'm just
Aliens.
thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the exactly. We know it's aliens.
Being conspiratorial, could it be a
We know it's
satellite,
aliens.
a rock?
Aliens that sells clothes.
Unidentified
Yeah, that's right.
object exploding into a blazing sphere, plunging. You know, I feel bad for the aliens. They're probably doing routine surveillance, and they did malfunction, burst into flames, and now we're sitting here watching.
And of all the places, China.
It was probably. I mean,
Now 20 new religions.
satellite probably to 20, right? Satellite does make the most sense. But let's entertain the idea because we were supposed to get aliens this year, right? Remember that dude from Israel said aliens are real?
Yes.
Do you see that, Joe?
Yeah, I saw
In
that.
Canada.
Yeah. We had a guy in Canada like 10 years ago, former like defense minister or whatever, said, "Yep, aliens are real." And he basically said we need a one world government or something like that, you know.
Hey, it could be a false flag for globalism.
I need aliens.
You need
I'm
them. You
desensitized
need
by
them.
Twitter, and now I need aliens.
Oh, we gotta have aliens.
You know what, man? Yes. We need aliens.
We do.
I'm bored.
I'm so ready.
So,
Dude, listen. Donald Trump filed some like lawsuit or whatever in Pennsylvania to like overturn the results. And I was like, I don't want to do another segment talking about because he just did it again like a couple days ago. And it's like, here we go. Another claim challenging it for many of the same reasons. And I'm like, really, man? Can an alien just like come with a jetpack and land so we can change the subject?
That'd be
You
cool.
know what I mean? Talk about something else.
We'll throw
Wonder
them in
Woman-
cages.
yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe-
Illegal aliens.
Illegal aliens. Yeah.
Maybe meditation, but aliens. I
Definitely
prefer
aliens,
it.
yeah.
Aliens would be fun.
So I'm gonna ask
Maybe
the
I'm playing
obvious
too many
question.
video games.
Ian, let me ask you the obvious question. Why didn't they go and scoop up this thing that crashed?
Okay,
Like it landed across
It's definitely
the
a
mountains,
satellite.
right?
Now you
Dude,
got me
Like,
thinking.
what is
but
it?
there's
What are they
multiple
doing?
videos
Secret
of it.
government.
This is crazy. It's like
This is in China.
Look at this. Look at this
They were like,
video.
COVID.
It's like it's night out, and it looks like daylight. Whatever this
wow.
is.
It does.
That's big.
Yeah, dude.
Huge.
And it just disappeared.
It's a bunch of illegal aliens.
It looked like a bolide, a very bright meteor, very convenient, or it was aliens firing off their
Now,
test
if that was
weapon
a meteor, wouldn't there be a little bit more of an explosion on the ground?
when it hits
you
the
know?
ground.
Yeah.
Like
I
when
don't
those
know.
hit the ground. It's
Yeah,
see
wouldn't
much
something happen?
Maybe
I don't know if
burned
it would
up.
explode. Let's see. The Nanxiang County government told Red Star News that it had heard the matter but was unclear of the details.
That must be scary.
Interesting.
seeing
And then Daily Mail gives us this really great breakdown of what an asteroid, comet, meteorite
that's helpful.
is. Thank you.
Yeah, what's the difference?
An asteroid is a chunk of rock left over from collisions of the early solar system, mostly located between Mars and Jupiter. A comet is a rock covered in ice, methane, and other compounds. It orbits, take them further in the solar system. A meteor is what astronomers call a flash of light in the atmosphere when debris burns up. A meteoroid is the debris itself. Most are so small they vaporize in the atmosphere. And if any of this meteoroid makes it to Earth, it's called meteorite. That's so dumb.
And that's why you see
They call
comments like
3
Haley's
words,
comment that like comes back because
Yes.
it's like stuck in the
It keeps
atmosphere.
returning.
And it's
Yeah.
ice. So an asteroid's rock,
Stuck in orbit.
comet is ice.
Yeah, it's in the
Yeah,
orbit.
yeah.
And a meteor is when it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Is
Dude,
that
when
right?
I saw this, I
Right,
thought it was
yeah.
day out. And then I just
Yeah.
watched the video and I realized it was actually nighttime.
That's
What if
so
it was
cool.
the exposure of the camera got messed up?
And that's all it is? Not because there's multiple videos of it.
No, I mean for the daylight
yeah,
stuff.
right,
It
right,
could have
good
been
point,
the
good point.
exposure of the camera.
But I think because the other video where it shows it's really dark out,
yeah.
and then you see it light up.
Yeah.
Like in this video,
wow.
it's like really dark out. There's no sun.
It
And
could be
then-
some new military equipment that went wrong.
Yeah,
I think-
maybe.
Yeah. Yo. China could be testing some kind of crazy weapons, and that's it.
Do you think aliens are real, Joe?
Of course.
You think they're here?
I mean, if they're real, they would be here.
Why? Why would they be here?
I don't know, because they probably.
Do you go and hang out and like watch anthills? I guess some people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What if like aliens are just like little kids watching stupid humans do dumb human stuff, and we think they're like this like intelligent race that can't come here? Like, think about you staring at an anthill, just watching them do their thing and being like, "It's crazy."
It's like
and
so
the
irrelevant
ants
to you.
So you're just like looking at it because you're like, I don't want, or like imagine watching pigeons. And you're like wondering where the baby pigeons are because you never see them. You only ever see full grown pigeons. What if that's what it is? It's like the aliens who come here are just driving by, and it's like rubbernecking. They're like driving by Earth, and they're like, oh, look at all those people down there. What are they doing? And then people are like, the aliens are here. They're gonna kill us all. And the aliens are like, I gotta go to Jim's house. We're having,
Yeah,
They're like, people.
We're
I'll move on.
definitely an irrelevant speck to them. If anything,
Maybe.
Yeah.
We got nuclear weapons. I guess that's concerning. It just depends on where the aliens are in terms of ability and technology.
You got to
know
think. All of existence, what, billions or trillions of years? I don't know how long of existence. And then how long have we existed? And then there's all that time before. Right. So who knows? They can be 100 million year civilization.
Exactly. Which could be infinite amounts of time.
Yeah.
If the Big Bang is just one of many rubber banding explosions of coalescence of matter and then propulsion.
What if we're the first?
That's statistically impossible.
No, it's not.
I mean, it is possible statistically, but I mean,
it's actually one of the answers to Fermi's paradox.
Yeah.
You're familiar with Fermi's paradox or no?
No.
It's this idea like if the universe is this big and it's existed for this long and life is produced at this rate, shouldn't we have seen aliens at some point or some evidence of them? And there's a bunch of different, it's a question basically, and there's a bunch of different answers as to why we haven't. One of the scariest ones is called the Great Filter. The Great Filter is this idea that all civilizations, intelligent civilizations, come to a point where they destroy themselves.
Yeah.
That's the idea that the globalists have, the climate change people. That's why they want the authoritarian lockdown, because they feel like humanity will wipe itself out with war, with famine, with death, with pollution and destruction, unless we control every aspect of their lives. That's not I don't believe that's true.
What if they destroyed themselves and then rebuilt? And then that's, or they kept destroying themselves multiple times.
Well, the idea is like if we fired off every nuke and every arsenal in a mutually assured destruction, this planet would be a smoldering rock. They'd just be
also, you gotta
unfathomable.
think we're humans. They could have evolved differently.
Right, they could be giant floating sacks of gas.
Or wolf people.
Yeah.
Or like what if they're
big giant ants that just work together like a hive mind.
Insects.
With tentacles for arms, and they don't care about like our idea of emotions and everything might not exist on whatever these aliens are.
They could breathe methane. There's so many but okay, so our universe was formed. It looks like it was mitosis that formed our moon. Planet Theia, after the cataclysm of the solar system's creation 3.6 billion years ago, 24 planetoid bodies all colliding. One of them smashed into Earth. They call it Theia. And then it came out the other side like this form of mitosis, as this molten ball that formed, slowly cooled into the moon. This perfect magnetic shape that blocks out the sun exactly when you have it between the Earth and the sun.
Not at the time.
Yeah,
the moon used to be really close, and it's drifting away.
Yeah, and it looks like it's magnetically all kind of held in place. But
gravitally,
that's the reason why we grew up on this planet, is because we had that moon pulling the tides and like evolving our bodies. It's possible that is a chemical reaction that's common throughout the universe, that planetoid mitosis. So maybe, but I don't think we've ever located another solar system where we can condemn that is.
Didn't they find water on Mars?
Definitely.
Water particles, I think, in the soil.
Who knows?
Well, they're not sure. I think they recanted that or whatever. But there's a ton of Earth-like planets.
Yeah.
I guess the issue though is, going back to Fermi's paradox, the Great Filter is one of the problems. The other is we might be the first. We might be the first intelligent species. It's possible. I think it's unlikely.
But define intelligent.
Capable of manipulating their environment and
you think that
tools.
there's like a planet of little dinosaurs running around?
Probably.
Yeah.
Little dinosaurs.
They were here
some
before,
weird
See, now
critters.
if that's there, eventually they would evolve into something like us.
Not necessarily. Evolution isn't linear.
Yeah.
Like intelligence isn't necessarily going to guarantee your survival. So we eventually, I think it's like 40,000 years ago, humans got to the point where they were like, hey, I realized something. I can like use this rock to do a thing.
Yeah.
You ever see that video of the orangutan spearfishing?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
They're saying like orangutans are reaching like some kind of like caveman state where they're like using tools and stuff.
That's why I think the aliens spliced our DNA. That's what I think.
Wow.
Well, that's like one of the famous
We're too
conspiracy
similar.
theories, that aliens took primates and spliced their DNA into
Why we don't have the
primates.
missing link?
Interesting.
We do have the missing link though.
I heard that there's like millions of year gap.
We murdered them all off.
Well, so
all those other hominids.
Like 20 years ago, there was the missing link that people would cite for evolution as to why they didn't believe it. And then we found the missing link. And they said, well, what about the missing link between this and the next one? It's like,
yeah, there's always a missing link.
Then we found it. And we've actually gone way back.
Closer and closer.
And then we found, I think it's called Lucy,
Yeah.
the oldest human ancestor, like a skull.
heard of that.
Yeah. So we found evidence of this stuff. There's
And,
like,
and people back then were smaller too.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know if it
definitely.
went bigger than
Homo
smaller.
florensis.
dude,
No,
in like
smaller people.
1900, people were like 5'6".
Yeah.
Now they got all tall, and now
Now
they're
they
getting
have bovine
now they're getting shorter.
hormones.
That's why apparently
Drinking all that cow's milk.
I heard that the Napoleon complex, like of him being short and whatever, is
Yeah.
like
It's
he was
normal
just
height.
normal size
Yeah.
back
Right,
then.
exactly. And the reason people think he was short is because his guards were big,
Yeah.
because he would clearly pick the big, strong dudes to guard
And the
him.
British intentionally ran with it to make fun
Right.
of him
Right,
and
of
spread that
course.
rumor.
That
he
makes
would-
sense.
Do you ever hear of the stoned ape theory?
What's that?
The apes, that we evolved from apes, but it was because they started eating marijuana and mushrooms
psilocybin.
and their brain chemistry started to change. They
This
gained
is a Joe
intelligence.
Rogan thing?
Yeah, I think Joe's talked about it a
Sounds
lot.
like a Joe Rogan
And
thing.
I'm all about like I'm not into animal cruelty, but I would love to corral a bunch of apes and feed them mushrooms and
See
just
if they
watch them.
See if they want to eat it.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
let them
Make it optional.
kind of watch. So maybe that's what we are for
You know,
another species.
Here's a thought experiment thing. So I guess a lot of religious people believe that us humans were the only ones with a soul, and then like I guess animals have life forces, but then obviously we know evolution is a real thing. We know we evolved from something, and let's just say we evolved from apes. At what point in that
Or the
evolutionary
common ancestor.
Yeah, and I'm like, at what point in that evolutionary process does one have a soul and one doesn't? If you do believe in all that, is there like where's
Interesting.
that one point?
Well, there
where
are
that
there are
becomes-
interesting things. We talked about this on the show with Michael and Alex Jones. The Precambrian explosion. There's a period in the fossil record where all of a sudden there's just a ton of different species, and there's a bunch of different explanations for why it is. But people often look at that and say, like, you had very limited life, then you had a bunch of different species all around the same time. Something happened, and there's weird stuff we can't answer. You know what I think people need to realize too? If we look back scientifically with carbon dating, with fossil records, with looking at the sedimentary layers of when things happened, you can see like volcanic ash, you can see like radiation. It's all really well and good because the logic is there, but you wouldn't be able to look back and find a spaceship. So like the point I'm making is, while I don't
There's a lot of weird stuff in the Egyptian stuff.
like the
That's
helicopters
true, yeah.
and spotlights,
Yeah.
but here's the point
Even
I'm
in
saying.
the Bible, I mean,
Yeah, spaceships.
Moses followed a beaming light in the sky for
Yeah. No, who
7
was
days.
it? Was it Enoch?
Went behind a rock and
Which
God
one?
gave him
The
a
Book of Enoch?
tablet.
Yeah,
The book
electricity is not that hard to make with
Yeah.
vinegar and iron.
There's
and copper.
there's like some book where a dude goes up to heaven and meets God, or something like that.
Well,
Mary was thrown up
There's-
into heaven, body and soul.
there's Moses. Moses went up a mountain and spoke with
No,
God.
there's a guy who got beamed up. Yeah, there's
Mary.
But hot air balloons
Yeah.
are super simple
John.
contraptions
Yeah.
You might be thinking of John.
with a little bit of propulsion, like electromagnetic heat on a hot air balloon. Hang gliders, super easy
Yeah.
to make. I wonder if they got into the orbit though, because then you need.
No, I'm talking about the Book of Enoch. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
removed
not
from
in the Bible. Just so you know.
Right.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's the Hebrew thing. It's apocalyptic religious text. It was
Okay.
removed from the Bible.
Yes.
And,
Apocryphal. yeah.
Wow, I was
It's outside
removed from the
Bible.
Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
By
Lots of
who?
books were.
Yeah, who has the
All the
authority
different
to do that?
councils. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
had
council.
councils about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah,
The
that kind of
first
thing.
one. Is
Yeah,
this
I don't think it was the first one that was.
I'm pretty sure this is a story of the guy who was brought to heaven.
Um,
Yeah.
Dude, I want a copy of the OG Bible before Nicaea got their hands on it. What
I'm
was
sure it'd be interesting.
talking about drugs? Talking about how much acid they all dropped or ergot at the time.
I don't think you'd.
Yeah, there's
find
so
it.
many theories of what the Bible could be about. It could be drugs. Could it be aliens? Could it be really God?
Or it
and
could just
everything?
be like
All of the above.
All the
it could be a
above, yeah.
collection of stories to help guide people.
Yeah,
And
that's-
and
It could be all
That's what I
things,
tell
yeah.
people all the time. Like whether you believe in God or not, or Jesus or not. I'm like the Bible is a book of how to live your life.
Like,
basically.
listen,
Like
listen.
a good person.
Yeah.
with the don't eat shellfish and don't eat pork thing. Like, I mean,
safety
it's
thing.
it's a safety
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It was like telling people here's the things that are you should live by, and it was Bronze Age individuals
Keep you
doing the best of their
alive.
abilities, and it was an attempt at explaining a lot of things. And with limited knowledge, they created the book. Man, it's called the book. That's
Yeah.
what Bible means.
Put it
It's
all
interesting
together.
stuff.
Oh, interesting. What language is that?
I don't know.
It means
but
the
Bible
book.
means book.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm into
Yeah.
the miracles. The dude,
Biblioteca.
like if you've ever done Reiki, have you ever practiced Reiki? Where you
what's
use like your magnetic field to put energy
know about all that
into
stuff.
other
Crazy,
people or
man.
withdraw. So did Jesus, trust me. And he was apparently a healer, like an energy healer. So I think he went and learned Reiki in like India and then came back and had all this like where you'd use Reiki.
He was
on
only
people.
33, and that's not recorded.
Yeah,
so I
he
don't know.
disappeared in his 20s and no one knows where he went.
No, wasn't it like 13 to 30? He was gone.
He was like in the East practicing or meditating with like yogis and stuff. I don't know.
Kung Fu and stuff.
Yeah.
Not Kung Fu, like martial arts. No, I'm sure like people
Diamond
think that he
body.
went and trained, and I don't know if that's true because it's not in the Bible, but there's a lot of people, there's like different cultures have depictions of Jesus, and all of these depictions are of their particular ethnicity. It's interesting.
Right.
There's like a drawing of Jesus in like East Asia, and he's like Asian.
It's definitely an idea. Of
21
nothing
Jump
else.
Street.
Yeah.
And apparently that's all related to
Jesus.
aliens and
Asian
other
Jesus.
weird
Yeah.
drugs and whatever. Let's read Super Chats.
Yes.
If you have not already, smash that like button. Throw in your Super Chats. We're going to read your comments now, everybody. Merry Christmas again. Benjamin says, who is John Galt? I don't know. Who is that?
That's
He's
from-
a guy.
Who is John Galt?
I'm just going to shrug that one off.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a good question to ask when we have Joey saying that he's leaving California and
Yep,
we're
he's
talking about leaving
fleeing.
Philly.
Who is John Galt is a reference to Atlas Shrugged, I believe, an
Yes.
Ayn Rand
Rand,
novel,
yep.
and a group of capitalists that has decided they've had it with society's overbearing arches and want to go create their own magical community on Staten Island.
Yeah, that's
Just
right.
kidding about the
Staten
Staten
Island.
Island.
That's where it'll
All right,
be.
let's see.
Where do they make it in the book? Is it like a fictitious?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in like
fictitious.
West Virginia, I think, or something.
Oh, of course
is it?
it is.
Is it
I
West
have no
Virginia?
Well, that's where
idea.
we're
I don't know.
going.
Gemcast says, hey, what do you think about a new executive power so the president can do a super veto where Congress can't overrule? Of course, he would get a set amount of these, but this would stop the omnibus packages. I don't know about that. I think the founding fathers are pretty clever with how they set everything up. And the fact that they're trying to curtail the president's power to invoke the Insurrection Act, like, negates the point of the executive branch. The executive is supposed to be able to act quickly and decisively in the face of a threat. Congress being like, well, you got to get our approval, kind of just takes that power away, which is kind of ridiculous. So that's a bad thing in my opinion. Dr. Certifiable says, if Biden is compromised, can't the U.S. just outbribe China so he works for us? That's it. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. GTR35 says, Ethereum is down. Time to buy. I just bought some Bitcoin.
Ethereum.
Ari Halbrin says, Merry Christmas, Tim and crew. Thank you for all you do, keeping me informed and entertained at work. Both.
Merry
Appreciate
Christmas.
All right, let's see. Max Lank says, Tim, you are dead wrong about what would happen as fallout of repealing Section 230. It would not be a mass exodus the way you make it out to be. It would be an instant barrage of lawsuits against Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And then they would have to shut down the services to stop this from happening. And they'd probably do it before the repeal went into effect. I just don't see a way around that. They have no liability protection, and they have hundreds of millions of users. And Trump will immediately sue Twitter for every fake news story. And there would be no protection. Now, theoretically, Twitter could try and claim anti-slap defense, but then Twitter has to pay for all of this, for the defense, for these filings.
For each user, that's crazy.
No, for each suit, for each lawsuit. So if Trump said, I'm suing Twitter 3,578 times for all of the fake news put out by these lists of journalists, all these individual defamation suits targeting Twitter. Now, I'm not saying he'd actually do that because that's obscene, but it would probably be rolled up into one suit listing all of these as infractions. Everyone would start doing it. Maybe not everybody, but it would be enough for these big companies to be like, we cannot assume that liability. So we are going to put a pause on everything and then only verified people. I don't know how Twitter would function.
They'd have to shut down.
Yeah.
It would-
Twitter literally is a machine that generates fake news and defamation. That's all it does. Twitter is not telling you any secrets. Twitter is not informing you as to the true realities and nature of this world. Twitter is a place where political activists go and talk crap about each other.
It's the source of cancel culture.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the direct source.
Twitter is
Yeah.
terrible. Ban Twitter.
And all you need is 1,000,
so maybe
2,000 people.
maybe Section 230 should be gone.
No, because
Oh,
you
it'd
need
be gone.
internet videos good. Internet text
No, but you'll
is
have your own
risky.
website. You make your own website.
That's what we need.
Yeah. Make your own website.
Do it anyway.
Yep. And then there could theoretically be a workaround for new platforms that could arise without 230 that would bypass this by not restricting in any capacity any publishing capabilities. There's probably interesting workarounds like a mesh network RSS style feed. They could be like, we didn't publish this. It's on his server, not on ours. It's just all we
Right.
do is aggregate links.
You can view it. You can portal into it from ours, but it's on their server.
Exactly. We didn't publish this. We're just, showing you other people are posting.
Right.
So that might be a good thing, actually. And then people would still have to sue you, but it would strip away the powers of these big corporations. So that could theoretically
You could
work.
have your own ads that way. And building an ad integration thing would be key to making that function.
Gregory Horton says Steven Crowder has Mug Club, Blaze TV. Ben Shapiro has Daily Wire. Alex Jones has InfoWars. You have SCNR. Don't fear the 230 repeal. I think if they repeal 230, they're going to let me keep doing my thing because they like me as a, what's the right word? Tepid milquetoast fence sitter.
Because you give them retention time.
But yes, combined with the fact that I don't swear, I don't insult. I, for the most part, don't insult people. I sometimes, I think we did a couple times on this show, like calling people morons. But I don't like single out individuals and say this person is dumb. In fact, even when I'm criticizing people on the left, I usually throw in a couple compliments. You know, like I did a video recently about Cenk Uygur's op-ed where he was talking about the 3 different realities in America, and I said he was wrong, but he's got a few of these things right. So my respect, you know, because he did make some good points. I won't make a video where I just attack somebody and insult them. I always try to keep it, you know, that's why they like me.
Your YouTube guy is lawful good.
Yes.
And you're forced to talk about like chaotic evil things, but you do it from a lawful good perspective, so they're really happy.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard to argue why my content shouldn't be allowed. It's opinions people don't like, but I don't insult and target or anything like that, you know. Daniel Maxwell says Section 230 needs to be amended to require all companies claiming the protections from it to abide by court interpretations of First Amendment protections and all laws regarding the First Amendment protections. It's actually simple. They need to change the phrase otherwise objectionable into illegal. That's it. Case closed. Okay, not really. There's probably a bunch of other nuance. But they have a provision that allows them to moderate and remove content so long as it's deemed lewd, lascivious, filthy, obscene, or otherwise objectionable. The otherwise objectionable part is where they ban anyone and everyone because they go, well, in my opinion, saying Orange Man good is offensive because the Orange Man is in fact bad.
Misgendering.
Yeah, misgendering, right? Not objectionable to any conservative, but to them it is, so they ban it.
Yep.
Get rid of otherwise objectionable to illegal, and then all of a sudden people can say things like there are only 2 genders or whatever. Dan Saw says, hey, Tim, just want to let you know that the jerky will be sent within the next 5 or so days. I forgot to ask where. I forgot to ask before if there was anything you or anyone was allergic to. Email me so I know.
Oh.
I didn't realize you were sending us jerky.
I did not realize this either.
Trent Lamalino says, if you get nuked, I'm done with YouTube, and I'll follow you and the gang wherever. I'll donate whatever needed that I can. Your crew is needed. I appreciate it. And I think the one thing we really need to step up on, I mentioned this before, but there are a lot of podcasts that are not top podcasts. We are a top podcast. This is crazy. This show and my Tim Pool Daily show, we have Tim Pool Daily and Timcast IRL on iTunes and stuff, and these are top little podcasts. Not like number 10 or anything. It's like number 230 and like number 170. So it's still pretty good. But there are shows that are like ranked 500 or 1,000, not even the top charts. They don't even register. And these people make millions of dollars. It's really simple. They just have proprietary websites where they say, come to our site, you pay X to hang out, and we give you premium stuff. That's something we don't do. You know, our show relies just on like the YouTube system, and we probably should start producing stuff directly for people who want and like the content. So that's
what I just started to do because I was when I got demonetized on YouTube all around, I got so scared that they were just going to cut me off completely. What am I going to do? I'm done. So I've been working on like my own individual app for just all my content.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to start promoting that. So this way, like anything I want, I just post it there, and I'm going to post like all the uncensored versions. So when I want to talk about, you know, the vaccines and stuff, hey, that's going to be on the app.
What's the app? Yeah. Do you have a name for
it?
Well,
but you realize you'll get banned for off-site behavior, right? That's a new thing they're adding.
Yeah, I don't know if YouTube does that yet, but I know Twitch does that. But I was gonna,
and Patreon does that.
Yeah, the app actually just came out today, but it's not like ready yet. But I'm gonna call it America Now News. So this way I can grow it beyond me.
Right.
You know, because, you know, I want to bring in new hosts, new writers and stuff.
Nice.
Right on, man. Ed Carone says, the $10 million to Pakistani gender studies is infuriating and all, but what about the $500 million to Israel? First and foremost, why are we giving any money to anyone else when our country is locked down and in full-on panic mode? That makes no sense. But I will say, you can justify military aid to a place like Israel. You can justify it. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm saying there's a legitimate argument, and you'll argue with someone. There's no argument for $10 million to Pakistani gender studies. I'm sorry. Like, that can wait, okay?
It's crazy.
I don't know what their gender studies thing is. You don't need the money.
Someone's
we
like,
need the money.
I'll vote yes if you put this in, and then like 4 other people are like, yeah, we support that. We'll all vote yes if you put that in.
Why did a Republican just put in Donald Trump won the election?
Yeah.
Why not?
AOC
Nobody read it.
AOC was railing against how long the bill was, how they don't have time to read it all.
But
It's
she
all
voted
long.
for-
And then she votes
Right.
in favor of it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Rand
her
Paul-
and Ted Cruz are agreeing on a lot of points on that bill.
Ted Cruz voted no.
Ted Cruz voted no. AOC voted
Right.
yes. And that's
Josh
the
Hawley,
problem.
Republican, also complained on Twitter and then voted for it anyway.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was an excuse, but people need the money for the holidays, you know. Let's see. Nicholas Bowling Show says 100% disagree, Tim. They are already unfairly banning conservatives. 230 doesn't protect us. Hey, Joey, I interviewed you for my site, remember? Nicholas Bowling Show.
Yeah, I remember him.
So that's actually a good point. You know, I guess conservatives who have already been banned and can't have channels are like, why would I care? Nuke the whole thing.
Well, you got to think outside yourself. You know, there's a greater good. I know that
The argument is if they can't be on it, shut it down because it's unfair.
vengeance is a real feeling.
It's not
but
vengeance.
have
It's
to
if
be
you
like,
get rid of
they
it, it
screwed
levels
me,
the playing field.
Screw them.
Level the playing field.
I understand the wanting to.
Yeah, but the most powerful person tends to dominate a level playing field.
Rational Redneck says, what would the repeal of Section 230 mean for sites like BitChute? It would mean that BitChute is personally responsible for all content posted on its site because they would now be treated like a newspaper, making the statement themselves.
Do they host content or is it all torrented between? How does BitChute function?
Well, I think it's torrented, so maybe they would argue we don't actually host it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Maybe they would be fine. Mr. Stantastic says, Ian, don't get enough credit. Lids is great as well. As you, Tim, first super chat, but I've had a beer and need to listen to y'all later. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate
Homie,
it.
what up? Don't forget Joey Salads while we're at it.
That's right.
He's
Joe
chilling.
Saladino.
What about
man.
Saladino? Lorenzo Garcia says CNN apparently just released Trump's budget demands and they're similar to the original proposal. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think the issue is budget demands are different from using the COVID stimulus as a hostage. Like, you know, using the American people as a hostage, basically. You have to vote for this. Otherwise, the people won't get their $600, which they can't do anything with because it's a pittance.
Is it taxable too?
No, probably not. Probably not.
Unemployment insurance is taxed.
I told my girlfriend,
Yep.
'cause my girlfriend, she never collected, and she's like unemployed because of lockdown, so she's going to get a fat check from all the backup from California and then from this. And I told her, like, you know, since she doesn't really need it, like, urgently, I'm going to help her, like, invest it to, like, flip it. Smart. Like, you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
Investments have been
Yeah.
popping off lately.
I'm investing in all the companies that support lockdowns. I'm investing in all the companies that support Biden because those are the ones that
Yeah, I'm
survive.
invested in some military tech.
This super comment.
I got into
this super
BlackRock because of you.
this super chat.
BlackRock,
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah,
BlackRock.
because I heard him talk about it. They're investing in China, so I was
Yeah,
like, I'm
that was
buying that.
Luke.
Oh, you were saying, well, yeah. Investing in what, like things that you think are going to go up because of the current politics?
Yeah. So how we were talking about corporate America pretty much taking over? Like, hey, just find, you know,
Palantir.
as much as
Palantir.
I don't want it to happen, as much as I don't want McDonald's and, you know, Apple and Amazon to take over the world, like, it's a way I can't do anything to stop it. So if it's gonna happen, I might as well ride the wave.
No, I disagree, dude. Like pitching in and
all of us
buying in.
collectively, we could.
Well, if you buy stock in it, you'll get some say.
I was like,
And maybe
I-
if everybody
That's
did,
true.
you could be
That's
like,
true.
shut her down.
I was like, I want to invest in people I believe in. Who do I invest in right now? I'm already in Tesla. I was like, I want to invest in Tim, but I am with my energy.
wait,
like,
hold
we're
on.
creating
I
a
just got an
network.
idea. Like, do you think enough Americans could come together and buy enough shares and pool their shares to actually like shut down a company like Amazon?
I thought about doing that with Google. I'm like, maybe if I get enough money one day, I can just buy enough shares of Google to the point where I tell them they have to remonetize my page.
It's I think that's a hostile takeover. It's a tech. They used to do that a lot.
Imagine if like everybody bought one share of
Yeah.
a big company and then collectively voted.
Yeah.
You'd have like a massive portion of this company publicly controlled and they'd have to do what the shareholders wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a way to make change, you know?
Yeah, you start like a collective firm that does it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
MRT Fortune says with the steel tariffs, it doubled the price of materials for a small manufacturing company I worked at. It seems similar to the minimum wage debate. This is interesting because I'm talking to a steel building company. It's actually not that expensive to get a big steel building, and we want to do it so that we can have a place to film and have different sets. And they told me today that they're like, we can't give you a quote right now because the price of steel is about to go way up.
Maybe we should just look into graphene. It's lighter. It's
Can't build a graphene building.
You might be able to now. It's
No,
lighter than
dude.
steel too.
You know what's interesting? We have these graphene composite batteries I bought for everybody because, like, Ian, you talk about graphene all the time. So I was like, Christmas is coming up, and I looked up graphene products, and they have these batteries. This is crazy stuff, dude. They hold like 2.5 cell phone charges, and they charge in about 15 minutes.
Wow.
You can, so like, let's say you forget to charge your phone. You're like, oh man, you take the battery, you plug it in, 15 minutes later, you grab it, walk out the door, and it's got 2 full charges in it. That's nuts. It's crazy.
That's fast.
That's graphene, dude. So that's where we're at so far. I tried looking up how the battery works, and it's like too new, I guess.
It's a supercapacitor and it's a conductor and a capacitor, so it can send current and store current. So it's like a battery and a wire at the same time.
PM says they hate us because they ain't us. Badumch. Marissa says, thanks, Tim. I meant to give $10, so I'm adding this to the other super chat. I hate the Dems. Love Staten Island. There you go. Shout out to Staten Island.
Love Staten Island.
Charlotte Jerde says, my daughter applied to McD's for her first job. They told her she will start at $10 an hour for the first 3 months. After that, her pay will be performance-based. That's their loophole to get out of $10 an hour. Really? But they're paying her $10 an hour. Let's see. Daniel J. Corica says, Long Island for statehood. I too am sick of my taxes going to New York City. Would Long Island be Republican?
Yeah.
You think so?
All of Long Island, I'm pretty sure, voted Republican, besides like maybe one part.
The Hamptons. Is that Republican? Seems like a lot of rich Democrats.
So. You can definitely pull up the map. I'm pretty sure it was like all red when I looked at the map.
That's including Brooklyn and Queens?
That part was blue. Yeah.
But they didn't outweigh the rest?
I'm sure that population probably does outweigh Long Island. And that's the problem with Staten Island. Staten Island's a very small borough population-wise comparatively, so we have no say basically in the mayor, like 0 say.
Neon Light says, I currently live in New York and it's getting insane here so far. I live around the Finger Lakes, yet every rural area around me is forced to live by NY City rules. NYC should not be a part of upstate.
And that's what I remember you saying on one of your episodes, which I agree with and I've been saying forever. It's that, you got the rural areas and like New York City has all the voting power, and then you go to some other area and that they operate completely differently. But now they're forced to follow those rules.
Think about how insane it is. Look, I get it. If a city like Baltimore is like, we got a problem with guns, so we're going to have some strict laws. Yeah. And now having those laws apply to people who live in Western Maryland, who live in the middle of the woods. And what happens when 30 to 50 feral hogs come crashing on your property, but the state doesn't allow you to have guns because of what's happening in Baltimore?
Yeah.
These kind of things don't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
We got to break up New York.
Into a couple. We should break up the country.
LA's got multiple
California
governors
too.
for their borough areas, like their different counties.
Yeah.
I don't mean into different countries, by the way. I
mayors.
mean different areas broken up into different.
Beverly
areas,
Hills
like
has like
State of
their
Jefferson.
own thing. I don't think they have a mayor, but they don't follow LA. Like they kind of do their own thing.
Different counties have different. LA County, and then there's a bunch of counties within Los Angeles proper.
Cities should be, these big cities should be separated from the states they're in.
Yeah.
Watch the rules change overnight. Illinois becomes a red state.
Well, they wouldn't let it happen because everybody would leave the cities.
Like we got to
they'd live in the red areas and work in the blue areas.
Yep.
There's no reason for one guy to have the power de Blasio's got.
Yep.
It's just too many people.
Power
18 million people.
Well, no, the issue is he doesn't have the power. People just give it to him.
He's just given ridiculous edicts.
He's not given the power to do this. The cops just obey him.
Because they don't know what else they want.
Because
they need their money.
No, it's because the officers that obey the unconstitutional orders of de Blasio are obsessed with suckling his teats. So they love
and they hate each other at the same time.
No. The officers that follow the unconstitutional edicts, like when de Blasio painted Black Lives Matter illegally in the street, those cops that went down to guard it are just in love with de Blasio.
They're just doing it for the money.
And they love licking his feet.
No.
You should have arrested de Blasio for vandalism right then and there.
Well, he stole taxpayer money to do it, and then 27 cops came out and they were like,
a pandemic,
during a
everyone
pandemic,
has to wear a mask
and
then
then
shut their
27 NYPD cops were like, the smart thing for me to do is to obey this man.
Right.
Instead of saying, I'm not going to guard that. Are you nuts?
No. It's like we bent over back for the police.
You know why? Yep. So
and this is how they.
The important point you brought up is that the cops who are screwing with this bar, there was NYPD there, but now de Blasio's like, I'm going to bring in the sheriffs because the NYPD doesn't want to do it. And I am not saying all cops. I'm saying clearly there are cops in big cities run by Democrats who don't care. And you know why? It's really obvious. Everybody lost their jobs.
Honestly, the NYPD should arrest the sheriffs for violating the Constitution.
But listen.
Just do it.
You have cops in New York, and they're going around seeing everyone destitute, like suffering and losing their money, and they're like, I have a job. At least I'm safe. Yeah. And then de Blasio is basically like, I want you to oppress people and destroy their lives. And the cop goes, better them than me. Mm-hmm. And so they just give in.
Now put on this white armor. Now bow to the emperor.
It's like how a lot of, I don't want to say the N-word, not the bad N-word, but the German N-word.
German N-word?
Yes.
National Socialist.
Yes.
National Socialist.
Stormtrooper. That's the word I was
like
going to
flag
say.
your video because they do that on mine. But
I think I already
you
said
know,
Nazi on the show.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can
well,
say
you're
Nazi.
So-
As long as you don't call
The
people
German
Yeah,
N-word.
Nazis, you can
German-
talk about it.
But I mean, there was a lot of Nazis that were just doing it just because they don't want to be on the other end.
They
of
were.
that gun.
I read that there were Jewish Nazis, like Jewish guards, who
Yeah.
are like, if they find out, so I'll just go along with it because they were scared.
Yeah.
Dang.
Dude.
And you know what?
Ordinary
People have been
men.
telling me that because I made a post on my personal Facebook because I talked to my, just my Staten Island friends, and I would say, I was like, "Dear law enforcement, we bent over back for you. Please do not enforce these orders." And some people are like, "Oh, they're just following orders. It's not their fault." I'm like,
That's even worse.
that's even worse. I'm like, they took an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Yep.
We're the ones paying them. We're the ones that defended them.
You know what I want to see?
De Blasio and Cuomo only have the power that they are given by, I guess,
By
us
the police.
and
No,
then
no,
the
no. By the
yeah.
police. Michael Malice said this on the show, that all of these illegal acts, all of these unconstitutional laws are letters to Santa without the men and women
Yep.
in uniform willing to enforce against the Constitution.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love to see? NYPD walking up to these sheriffs at that bar, Max's or whatever, and just taking the, like, 3 NYPD guys, grab the sheriff, and chance behind your back, you're
Yep,
under arrest.
that's what needs to happen.
You don't live
That's
here.
what needs to
We live here. These cops live in Staten Island.
Yep.
Why would they let them come to their home? I'll tell you this, man. Could you imagine these NYPD cops who are either sitting back and doing nothing or enforcing this? Imagine if that was the caliber of young man we had during World War II. They'd be like, they'd
Yep.
land on the beaches of Normandy and be like, look, man, I'm just going to side with the people who are here because they're the
Yeah.
ones in power. I'm not going to fight to free people.
What
No,
we
we
need
need
to
people to
do
stand
is-
up and say, I live here. Get the out of my home.
What we need to do is publicly, I guess privately, fund the good officers.
Yeah.
Because if they're worried
Is
about
that
losing
legal?
their
I don't know
job,
if that's legal.
Like
I don't know.
crowdfunding?
But yeah, if they're worried about losing their job and getting their pay cut, it's like, hey, we'll let's all build up this fund.
Like
if
like
you're
a
worried about that,
503.
if you lose your pension, if you lose this, let's take it out of this fund. Like,
Like
you're good, you're
Medishare.
secure.
do it.
Creating a new police department.
We're creating,
basically.
yeah,
Like a charity
our own-
fund? We could do a global charity
creating
fund.
our own government.
Here's what I'm advocating for. Here's what I'm saying. The police should arrest criminals.
Yep.
Does that
That's
sound?
it.
Does that sound crazy?
Well,
That's
if
not
the,
crazy,
if
right?
it's a bad law, yeah, you don't want them arresting people that are
Violating.
defying bad laws.
I didn't say people define bad. I said criminals.
Crime doesn't make you bad. Like if it's a bad law, you want to become a criminal to fight against the bad law.
You're misunderstanding. I didn't say cops should arrest people who break the law. I said cops should arrest criminals.
Well, if you say everyone has to go out and punch people, and I say I'm not going to do it, then I become a criminal in that.
No, you're
world.
reading too much into it for no
Dude,
reason. You're
I'm
arguing
saying that
for no reason.
law and
what I'm
chaos-
saying is when the sheriff shows up and illegally detains someone, that's called kidnapping. And they have no constitutional authority or statutory authority to do it just because de Blasio said so. It is then incumbent upon NYPD to say, you are under arrest for kidnapping.
For some crime, yeah.
That's
I
a
think
crime.
I think
Yep.
they should
Yeah.
uphold that kind of crime.
That's literal crime.
But it's
the
like
law
moral.
says they can't do it, and they're doing it
Yeah.
anyway. They need to be arrested.
But if you make a law that says that you
You're-
can't do
bro,
something
that's
you need to
nothing
do, then
with
you
what
have
we're
to become
talking
a
about.
criminal.
We're not talking about made-up
You
laws.
just said police
We're
should
not
go arrest criminals.
We're not talking about some new law that was just made because de Blasio didn't pass any laws.
I'm just saying crime isn't the
That has nothing to
benchmark
do
of
with what
whether or
I'm
not
talking about.
you should
I
be
get,
destroyed.
I get what both of you guys are saying, because you're saying that criminality is based on the laws that were made, right?
Yes.
So like being a criminal is defined by the law. But I get what you're saying at the same exact time, where de Blasio and these sheriffs are also breaking
yes.
the law.
The police should
Yeah.
go and arrest criminals.
Yeah.
And I agree
I mean, you're
with-
both right at the same
well,
time.
they should arrest those criminals.
They should arrest criminals
For that. Not all criminals.
What? Why not?
Because some laws are bad, and those people shouldn't be criminals.
No.
How about
They-
this
they should be.
constitutional law?
I mean, I don't think
Or
nonviolent
whatever,
drug offenders should be arrested personally. Not marijuana. I mean, just because you say marijuana is illegal doesn't mean that you should go arrest them all. It's a bad law. It shouldn't have been made.
It is a bad law. They should be arrested. They should sue, and the law should be
But
overturned.
it destroys people's lives to get arrested. It wastes their time.
Yeah.
It
Dude,
puts a mark on their...
having an argument about what you think is morally correct is not the point. The point is the sheriffs are coming in and breaking the law.
I think
There's
it's
statutory law being broken by these sheriffs and by some NYPD, and they're spineless, pathetic, and terrified, whiny baby cops who won't do anything about
That
it.
I agree. But it's dangerous to say cops should arrest anyone that's breaking the law. That's
Cops should arrest people who
because
break the
some
law.
laws are not right. So we
And
got to be
that's what
careful about
courts
encouraging.
are for.
Yeah, but you don't want to go disrupt everybody.
And then you go to a Democrat court and they lock you up for life.
Bro, you can't argue that some cops have the discretion not to arrest people breaking the law, because then you're gonna have a cop who helps and protects his friends. The law has to be upheld. We're a nation of laws. If laws are not enforced, then what do
I'm
we
getting
have?
this because I told him it was lawful good. Okay, you're neutral good. It's a Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Think about all the Democrats who are like, we should decriminalize border crossings. They shouldn't arrest these people. They're broke. No, they did. They literally committed a crime. And just because you don't agree doesn't mean I have to live by your rules. If we vote for people and laws are passed, we deal with ramifications of that. If eventually we find out the laws are bad, we change those. Marijuana is now slowly being legalized as people start to realize. And yes, Trump should pardon nonviolent drug offenders, those who are literally nonviolent, not anybody who pleaded down. The point is, in New York City, when an NYPD cop or a sheriff breaks the law, they need to be arrested.
Or they fail to uphold their constitutional oath.
No, that you get fired for. That's not a crime.
I mean, who's going to fire them? The mayor's not going to fire them.
And who's going to arrest the cops committing crimes?
Should be the good cops.
I don't care who you are. If you commit a
FBI.
crime, you get arrested. Okay? And that includes activists who are protesting peacefully. And I say it all the time. Nonviolent civil disobedience is the best, most effective way to get change. It works. We've seen it work. It worked with civil rights. And riots sour people to your cause, but you get arrested and you deal with the results of challenging the system. There is a cost to challenging the system.
So should the FBI be the ones that are arresting cops that are violating the Constitution?
The FBI doesn't do that. The FBI handles federal
I saw
crimes.
a video online of a cop arresting another cop.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it
Like
happens.
right then and there. Like I think maybe the cop was doing a little too much, like hitting the guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just saw the
Yep.
quick clip.
They
and
were
then
on- they were both-
immediately
But
took
listen,
him and they arrested the
Were
cop.
they both on duty?
Yeah, they were both on duty cops, and I think they might have been working the same exact thing.
Let me put it this way. If I'm in New York and some guy walks up to me and grabs me and throws me to the ground and pins my arm behind my back for no reason, that's assault and battery.
Yep.
So a cop should come and arrest that person. I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care if they're wearing a badge. Now, the issue with a cop arresting you is different because we as a community bestow authority upon people under the ideal that they're going to be stopping criminals. Now, a lot of police forces have citations and fines and quota systems, and that's all bunk BS. For sure, we can argue that. But if I am doing everything legally and I'm running my business and some random guy comes in and blocks the door and won't let anybody in, or takes my customers and like detains them, kidnaps them, takes them in their car, you gotta arrest that person. Could you imagine if someone went to your business and then just like grabbed the clerk and threw him in a car and drove off? You'd be like, whoa. Under no statutory or constitutional authority did that person do that. I don't care if they're wearing a badge.
Here's another takeaway from everything going on right now. There's no constitutional enforcement from the federal government to the states.
Trump can invoke the Insurrection Act because of this.
Now, he
It's
should have done this 6 months ago.
Specifically, in the Insurrection Act, it says if people's constitutional rights are being deprived, he can send in the military to protect their rights.
I think he should. I mean, he's not running for re-election anymore.
I was hoping that
technically
Trump
he is,
was going to win and then immediately do the Insurrection Act and arrest Cuomo, arrest de Blasio.
He doesn't even need to arrest him. He could send in the military to New York and reinstate people's
Yeah,
lives.
that's what needs that. He should just do that right now. Just do it.
Political willpower.
Yeah.
Trump could do it.
Yeah. That's
And-
what America needs right now.
You know, it's funny because people are calling for Trump to invoke martial law, and you've got like his most ardent supporters, and the left is saying, you know, he can't do that or whatever. We're already under martial law. It's not martial law means military law, so not literally, but we are under the Democrats there's constitutional authority and there's statutory law. Statutory law are things that are passed by a legislative body. Constitutional authority is based on what the constitution of your state or the federal government gives you. Under neither of these, Cuomo, Wolf, Newsom, Whitmer have done things they're not allowed to do. And the Supreme Court has said of the United States, you can't do that. So you know what they do? Okay, this executive order has been destroyed by the Supreme Court.
Make a
I'll
new
issue
one.
the exact same one now.
Literally the exact same?
Like they'll change some words or use some alternate arguments to do the
that
exact
sounds
same thing.
felonious.
It sounds dictatorial, despotic, psychotic, and in violation of law. And Trump could invoke the Insurrection Act because they keep doing it.
The one thing I learned from all of this, there's a reason why we have the Constitution, and there's a reason why the Founding Fathers put the number 2 in there. I don't like to say it. I don't like to think it. I don't want it to happen.
But you don't need to bring it up. Trump's the president.
Yes, but
the problem isn't what the people are doing. Right now, they elected Trump. They elected Trump to solve these problems. And the people who are stomping on the rights of individuals could be stopped by the president right now.
They can also be stopped by us.
That's
And it
a
seems
whole
like
other conversation.
I don't want like that to happen, but it just seems like that would be right now, this point in time, there seems to be nothing happening from the federal government or from Trump And that, I mean,
yeah,
it
it's
could be up
they're-
to us.
They're destroying economics. They're not like stealing people's children at
Every
night.
day
If the cops were coming in and taking people's kids in the middle of the night, you'd probably see people enforcing their Second Amendment.
I don't think so.
You don't?
The James Younger case.
We're supposed
The
to.
problem
James Younger case. A man's son has been essentially taken from him, and the courts ruled that the child will undergo gender reassignment therapy.
Yep.
If a father wouldn't rise up in defiance of the government after his son was taken in that way, then I really don't see the political.
It's that slow
The
heating up
problem
of
is
the frogs
Republicans
in the pot.
we're way more peaceful than the left. If we were as violent as the left, none of this would be happening.
That's the scary thing.
Yeah, and the lockdown protests against Whitmer from months ago. We had
Peaceful.
tens of thousands of Americans show up peacefully with guns, and what happened? She extended the lockdowns.
And
You
then
had people with
and that's
guns.
it. And people just went home.
That was it. Then they went home. It's like, because Republicans, we want to do everything legally in the court.
Because
and this and
Republicans
that,
want to
whatever.
be left alone.
Yeah, we just want to be left alone.
I appeal to the president. Donald, please enforce.
You think he should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I think you should protect our economy at all costs from these
Especially
psychotic
at the
rogue.
rate things are going right now. If you're not going to win the election, what do you got to lose?
It's kind of crazy that it's a slow boil. We're frogs in a pot. The economy is destroyed. These leftists have no idea how debt to GDP works, how money printing works, how modern monetary policy works, anything like this. And they advocate for things that make no sense, like deficit spending to pay for healthcare. It's like all you're doing is stripping away the savings of people. It makes it so that nobody should save anything ever. But then, of course, they use that and say, well, you have no savings. We should have government, mandated spending, and buying of the resources you need. With these Democrat states destroying the economy, we get this $600 COVID package. That $900 billion deal attached to a total of $2.3 billion omnibus spending for ridiculous things like Pakistani gender studies shows you the system is corrupt and Trump isn't fixing it. That's it. Trump apparently submitted a budget request that was similar to the omnibus, so people are mentioning in the super chat, whether it's true or not. What does Trump come out and do? What does Trump come out and do? He says triple it. Yeah. Trump didn't say, reopen the economy now. I will not sign this relief bill until there's a mandate for the states to reopen their economies and protect small businesses.
Throw more money at it.
Exactly.
And
he said triple it. And Democrats, what they said? They said,
great
much
idea.
obliged.
Yeah.
You know what?
Absolutely, Trump.
It's kind of being a Republican in one way is kind of a double-edged sword versus being a Democrat. And the Democrats' worldview of fixing it, they can just come in and, like what the dictators are doing, these governors, I want this done. Here's an order. Blink, it's done. Even though it's unconstitutional, it's tyrannical, it's illegal. With Republicans, on the other hand, if they want to fix something, we don't act like, for the most part, we don't act like dictators to get something done and fix it. We would have to go this process, and this pushback and that. Then you got to play the game and do all this. Whereas if it was a Democrat, here's a bill, sign it, tyrannical, done.
Right. Legislating what you want. I think about that with gun control. Like just saying it's illegal all of a sudden while people are at home printing their guns. Like you can't enforce that law. You look like a mockery.
Donald Trump vetoed the NDAA. In it is an amendment that would take away his ability it would curtail his ability to invoke the Insurrection Act. He would require the Secretary of Defense and himself to sign off and provide reasonable certification to Congress to approve. Otherwise, he would not be able to invoke the Insurrection Act. So think about it this way. One of the provisions of the Insurrection Act is to enforce the constitutional rights of the citizens of the state. New York is in violation of that numerous times, blocking people from going to churches and things, and things of that nature. Los Angeles is shutting off people's water and electricity for exercising their First Amendment right. Mitch McConnell on the 29th is going to convene the Senate to override Trump's veto. When that happens, Trump will lose the ability to invoke the Insurrection Act. If Trump would do it, he has 5 more days. That's it. 4 more days probably to do it before they override his veto.
Who do you have to send in? The National Guard? Is that
military or National Guard? Federalized National Guard or the military?
I worry that if this sets a precedent and that gets done, and what if Biden comes in and wants to ban guns nationwide?
No, the Second Amendment, that would be in defiance of the Constitution.
But I mean, what we've seen is these police officers don't care. They're doing it. But with the military, I think it's a little bit different.
I don't think would. Well, we'll see.
I never thought I would see law enforcement arrest people for not wearing them.
I never did. Yeah. Never.
You see, I've had experience with it, so
not here. That's what they used to say. It'll never happen
here. Makes us think the military is not going to go door to door.
Listen. Nervous.
They will.
Right before lockdown started, I did an interview with an NYPD officer, and I was telling him about the whole lockdowns. I'm like, I was saying, there's no way in hell that this will ever be enforced. And this was before all this happened. And he said to me, "You'll be surprised."
That was
I did not believe him. I refused to believe him.
Dude,
And then a month later,
I've been to enough countries, I've been to enough protests, and I've seen enough action from police to know that many of these people just don't care. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think all cops are bad. They, the left uses a worse word than that, and 1312 or whatever, ACAB. I think there are a lot of bad cops, and I think we need police reform.
Yep.
And I think there are a lot of good cops. And they tend to be smaller cities, they tend to be more rural, and they tend to be conservative.
And they know
it's the big city cops who will, beat you over the head and say, "I don't care."
You're right. We need to fund them, the people that are violating the orders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because if they lose their job, that's it, for them. But if we have a charity that's making sure they're going to get paid regardless, then there's incentive to do the right thing.
you should start it, Tim. You got
No, I don't know about that.
Hire someone to start it.
People get mad at me because they think I'm going to be some leader.
I'll start it, and then I'll pay you to promote it as a sponsorship.
People like Trump supporters are mad, saying like everyone's got to be on the front lines of this fight and going out, showing up in DC on the 6th. And I'm like, I might go to DC. I don't know if I'm
People
gonna.
got tired of all these lockdown protests now. This was like
the
6th
summer the 6th isn't a lockdown protest. The 6th is the overturning the election for Trump protest.
Okay.
So they're saying everyone has to go there, and I'm like, bro, I'm not a leader. I'm not a part of your tribe. I'm a dude who complains on the internet, and I will always be that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to rally or rabble or tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. I'll tell you what I think, what I want to happen, and you do your thing. You make your own opinions.
His drone war and escalation and his lack of leadership on Assange has really kind of soured me to Donald.
What's his lack of leadership on Assange?
He's just not doing anything about it. He keeps saying like, I'm considering. That was like last week, and now this week he's announced he's considering it again.
He instructed the Ecuadorian embassy, the raid on the Ecuadorian embassy. That's leadership. Not what we want though.
Okay, not the right leadership.
Right. So he certainly made a decision, pull Assange out of the embassy, and now we've yet to see him pardon Assange.
Talking about pardoning the guy.
Yep.
Like Daniel Ellsberg. He revealed the war atrocities.
Julian Assange didn't commit any crime. He's just being effectively detained for a decade, nearly. It's like 8 years now. And now he's facing charges because they just don't like that he's effective. He exposed the intelligence agencies and some of the messed up stuff the U.S. was doing, and it really helped Trump. It showed a lot of Trump supporters exactly what they were doing and why, a lot of these arguments against them, against like deep state, people were correct. And for a long time, like a good example is Sarah Palin. She spoke out against WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks published her emails. Sarah Palin just came out defending Assange because what we got out of WikiLeaks was good. And then you realize you're going to get, with WikiLeaks, you're going to get stuff that probably you don't want leaked. And you're going to get stuff that you're probably grateful was leaked. We learn these things from people like Assange. But Assange isn't even the leaker or the whistleblower. He's the publisher. He's the journalist. And they're doing this to him. Trump needs to pardon that guy ASAP. The concern is if Trump pardons him right now, the UK will find an excuse to keep him. And that Trump, his best bet would be to get Assange to the US before pardoning him.
How?
Don't think it's possible.
Like a secret raid to get him out of there?
He already did that.
What did he
say? They raided the Ecuadorian embassy and arrested Assange, and now the British authorities have him.
But I mean, a raid on the British authorities.
Well, that's not going to happen.
That'd be crazy.
No, they're trying to extradite him, but he has the legal right to block the extradition. And they don't trust the U.S. government, so they're not going to allow it. So I think Trump should just pardon him. I don't think there's any point in waiting. And if Assange wants to stay in the UK and doesn't want to come here, then just pardon him and be done with it. Whatever. Now, how do we deal with the fact that people have their rights completely stomped on in a bunch of these states? I don't know. Because do we just sit back as the water slowly boils and we sit in? And we know for a fact, because of Supreme Court rulings in like several states already, they are actively violating constitutional rights of these people. Or do we say something must be done and Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act and, hypothetically go in and then enforce constitutional...
I thought he should have done it on day 2 of the riots. But it's like
why didn't he?
The riots and then there's the shutdown. And it's like they're two different psychotic...
No, listen. The Insurrection Act has been invoked numerous times, like a couple dozen times. And the most recent was for riots, 1992 LA riots. Then you also had the Baltimore riots. Then you had the Chicago riots in 1968. These were nowhere near as crazy as what we saw.
Because of the Insurrection Act, probably.
Well, I'm sorry. Actually, the LA riots were pretty nuts. But I think nationwide riots, and then 100 days in the Pacific Northwest,
Dude, they were
and
like,
Trump didn't do it.
There were like 5 days where they were just watching, and then no one responded federally.
Why?
So then there's all these other riots started breaking out.
You know why it probably didn't really happen over the summer and that stuff? Because it's all politics at that point. It's like, what move will help him win re-election? Will letting them destroy themselves?
He doesn't have to worry about that right now.
Now he doesn't need to worry. But at the end of the day, we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes with this election stuff. Maybe he knows some stuff that we don't know. That maybe he knows I'm going to win this. That we got this, that, and the other thing. We don't know that. So.
I like this super chat. I got to read it. Monty M says, Ian, pay your college loans, then talk about cops. I was a cop for 13 years. The NYPD is a bunch of punks.
Well, right now my loans are on a temporary deferment because of COVID, but it's my, probably number 3 concern with debts. I pay off my credit card debts and my taxes first, and then I am Panda says, I agree with Joey Salads. Everyone here put money where mouth is and show up on Jan 6th in DC. That's the big question. Trump won't make a move unless he knows he has popular support. Mm-hmm. If people don't show up on the 6th, I'll tell you this, if 10 million people show up in DC on the 6th and it's just endless field waves, Trump will do whatever. Yeah. Trump will be like, okay,
I think I'm going to go because my flight is on the 6th. I might just reschedule it so I can get there.
Go to DC?
Yeah.
I'm hearing from people that aren't super political telling me they're going.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is people who aren't political are forced into being political because of the lockdowns. Like a normal business owner, a normal worker that doesn't care about politics. I just want to live my life.
They want Trump to win.
Now you're thrusted into it where when a Black Lives Matter throws a garbage can through your window, now you're in the political game.
DC is a great city to congregate into. There's all this wide open space and like plazas and roads easy to shut down roads.
Cool landmarks.
Oh, interesting. John Stewart says the provision curtailing the Insurrection Act was only in the earlier HR bill, not the final Senate draft that he vetoed. Interesting. I thought it was it was edited as an amendment. There was a fact check on it that said it was included in the bill, but I guess they took it off. Anyway, I'll say it again. If you had 10 million people in DC, I think Trump would invoke the Insurrection Act. He'd overturn elections. He'd just do whatever he wants because he has the people right there. He would literally just be like, say something. You know what I mean? The people are here. They support me. I'm going to do it. And they would cheer for it. But if people don't show up, Trump's just going to be like, thanks, everybody. Have a nice day. Mm-hmm. Trump, in any political move, won't do anything unless they feel like they have that true support.
Obama was the same way. He didn't have any support, so he just capitulated.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's just do one more. Josh Branson says the military has already gone door to door for guns before. Look at post-Katrina New Orleans. Interesting. Well then, if you haven't already, smash the like button. Thanks for hanging out on this Christmas Eve show. We are off tomorrow and for Christmas, and then we'll be back Monday. And I'll be doing my show next on Saturday. So check out my other channels at youtube.com/Timcast and youtube.com/TimcastNews. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler, @Timcast. Joey, do you have anything you want to mention? Your Twitter?
My Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's right. your Instagram.
I guess like my podcast, YouTube? The Joey Saladino Show, or the app America Now News. So.
Right on. You got any merchandise?
I got them wearing canceled.
Where can we buy that? Where can people get that?
Merchlinkinbio.com.
Very cool.
I got that URL.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And your YouTube channel is pretty huge, right? It's just not monetized.
It's big.
Right now?
I haven't posted in like 6 months because it's demonetized. So
YouTube
reps, if you're watching, just throw me a bone.
Yeah, man. Get this guy back on the market.
Yeah. I have a whole catalog of content I'm ready to post that I was filming. I was like, Joey Salads 2.0, I'm going to come in hard. I got highly produced content, and I'm right about to post it.
Can't you do sponsors, though?
My viewership plummeted after the demonetization.
That's the way it works. That's what I'm saying.
The sponsorships don't really pay me much because it's hard for me to decide my price because my viewership fluctuation. Exactly. It's like I'll get 50,000 views on a video, 2 million on this one. So it's like, how do I charge them?
Right. Do you have a Minds account?
No.
I co-founded that with Bill. You should get started on there because I know Bill loves your work.
Yeah,
he's the CEO. I bet he'd push your stuff. Really
hard. Definitely Minds.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Because they actually have a pro partner program now too.
Okay.
It's not as good as YouTube, but at least it's something to compete with. Because with all due respect to say like BitChute, Minds actually you get paid like a partner program.
That's the key.
But it's not as good as Facebook or YouTube. But it's the only way to make it happen is to use it.
I've been just distributing my content on like all the platforms. Yeah. It's like a little bit here, a little bit there, but it adds up. It's something significant.
Minds is doing this new technology where you can link it with your YouTube channel, so any new YouTube uploads will upload to Minds automatically.
That's cool. I'm gonna check that out.
It's free software, which is nice. And I think was there something else I was going to say about Minds?
I don't know. Were you going to mention your Minds?
Oh, I have a Minds channel at Ian Crossland, along with all my other social media accounts at Ian Crossland throughout the internet.
Right on. And of course, you can follow at Sour Patch Lids.
You can. I'm on Twitter.
Pushing all the buttons.
Yep, LYDS.
Posting spicy memes.
Correct.
And we're back Monday, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I don't have anyone lined up yet.
Well, we're super excited for the second week of
Yes.
January is going to be spicy.
It's getting it's awesome.
I'll just put it this way: there are people who are in Congress who are planning on coming.
You know
on.
their names.
But I'm not gonna.
I think I know.
I don't announce guests because then when they cancel, everyone gets disappointed.
Not if,
And
but when, because they do.
Well, especially people who are really busy and people like in Congress.
Am I allowed to say my guess, or would that like give it away?
No, I don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just in case.
You know, Congress is a verb. It means to
Congress?
move together.
Oh.
Ian, let me ask you a question. What is what is pro and con in that context? What does pro mean?
Forward.
What does con mean?
Against.
What is progress?
To move forward.
What is Congress?
To move against.
Boom.
That's their job.
Yeah.
Say no to the president when he gets crazy.
It's true.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas.
Bye,
Happy New Year. We'll be back
guys.
at some point,
Yep.
and we'll see you then. Thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye.
Bye.